All right, yeah, let's go. Bang, bang, boom. It's the two realest dudes in the room. Young bloods out here, all living on the internet.
Yeah.
Two bros going out, having one of our chill sessions, off the cuff, raw and real conversation just between two bros. On my left, right, not sure where he is right now, but Black, how you doing, sir?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, my man. How about you? How was your week?
It was pretty good, not too crazy. IRL stuff, pretty tame, I will say that. So, been able to catch up on my own personal stuff, on my YouTube end of things.
Nice.
Actually, been able to actually write, type up stuff.
Man, I know the struggle, bro. I know. I understand.
That's the hardest part for me is the script writing. I have the idea, but putting it on paper, that's the hardest part. But once I get over that first hurdle, okay, the editing and the fun stuff and the recording, that's easy.
Oh yeah. way I think okay, so there are some videos I've done where I edited video footage first,
yes,
and then did the recording.
Oh, that's so weird,
man. It was so weird, and then I was like, you know what? I think we're going about this the wrong way. But this is before I even started doing scripts. So because before I was like, oh man, I'm just gonna go raw and real off the cuff, man. We don't need no freaking script. This ain't a movie. But nah, man. I quickly learned my lesson after I realized it took me a month to come out with something.
Dude, I could even see that that's not the way to do it. Cause my very first video, I even I noticed oh man, the audio does not sound that well. So I was like, okay, let me redo the intro, try to match my speed and pitch exactly. It's okay, I think that turned out pretty good. And I re-uploaded it in. It's off by milliseconds and everything, the timing's all off.
That's the worst.
It's I'm trying to do some finagling here, so it's not noticeable. And it's
those little mini micro cuts that would only can't even be seen by the human eye.
Precise. Yeah. But you notice it. It's just gonna mess with you. It's OCD just dialed to the max right now.
Oh man.
But that's back in editing YouTube struggles right there. So
yeah. I wish that we need to do a podcast where that's kind of one of our discussion topics, actually. Just
we could just the struggles of aspiring YouTubers.
Yeah. Because we're all right, so real talk, man, real talk. We talked about this before, but I haven't said it to anybody, so they'll hear it now. Have you told anybody in your real life, and you just kind of, not that you're trying to gas yourself up, right? But you're I make YouTube videos or whatever. You just kind of said it casually.
I actually did at my job.
Okay.
Because my boss, he's actually pretty genuine. At least he comes off as pretty genuine as far as trying to get to know his coworkers and stuff, and his employees. And when I was asking for my day off, it's can I do Wednesdays, have pretty consistent, days off and stuff. And he's like, yeah, cool, that's fine. Anything special that you do? It's
well, that's how they set you up. That's how they get you. Oh, what you got going on, man? What you doing?
I'm
there it is.
Yeah, well, I was I edit videos, and it's oh, really? On YouTube? It's
there it is.
It's but I didn't come out and say what I did,
right.
Not for me personally. It's yeah, it's freelance. Make it sound so I'm doing other people's videos, but not necessarily for me, yet. So it's he has some sort of insight of what I'm doing, but it's not the full thing. It's he doesn't know it's all Persona and RPGs and gaming and stuff. But he knows how he does that, and he was a photographer, so he understood some of the stuff that I was doing and all that stuff. So there was a genuine connection there, and he was he's done editing on his own stuff, and so like he shared some stuff with me. So like actually, that's pretty good. It's like, yeah,
Oh, dude, what the heck? Yo, all right, hold up.
uh-huh.
Man, you got that good, clean, like smooth, everybody's okay with it kind of thing. Okay, so at my job, everybody's like, oh man. So they'll ask me, what you got going on, blah blah blah, and or they'll see me like kind of jotting down ideas or like writing stuff, and they're always asking me what am I doing, and I'm like, yeah, I make videos and this and that. They're like, oh, you trying to be one of them YouTubers? And I'm like,
I knew exactly what you were doing.
And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh. And they kind of look. Immediately, I get the SoundCloud rapper treatment.
Oh no!
Don't quit your day job. Like somebody actually, the person who said that to me, was the freaking guy from the Final Fantasy Dragoon, the Tank Dragoon. Yeah, he's the one who told me that.
Man,
don't quit your day job, man. YouTube isn't consistent. Blah blah blah. It's like, bro, get off me. I was trying to make videos, dog. Go back in the kitchen. Go back to cooking.
Ride me. Like, okay. So, like, how old is this person? Is this person like our age?
Yeah.
Or is it? That's probably the problem.
That's crazy to me because the older people, they're with it. They're like, oh man, that's dope. You're doing it now. People our age are like, what are you doing, man? You're wasting your time. You should just go back in the office and sign paperwork. That's all you need to do. And I'm like,
it's relatable. Yeah. That's what it is. Is that we see reflections of ourselves in these YouTubers. Like, man, why can't I be doing that?
Yeah.
Or why can't? It's like, man, I mean, I can be doing that too. It's like, well, why aren't you? Like,
right.
Well, I got other stuff doing on the older crowd, and like I even see this with my parents as well. Mm-hmm. They're like, even though they don't understand it, or they see something as a new medium and that there's potential in it.
Right.
It's like, all right, this is just your generation's medium. Now you run with it and show what the potential is in it, and then we'll support you to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like bringing up, basically the generation under you to prepare them to take over and stuff like that.
Right.
To prepare the generation for the future and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's different when it's like, people, your peers trying to see you trying to do it too. Is like, well, what makes you so special? It's kind of out of jealousy, and not everyone's like that.
Not everybody, yeah.
But yeah, that's really interesting.
And then, I mean, they act like I'm like making thousands of dollars being a YouTuber. And it's like, bro, I haven't seen a penny. If anything, I've lost money doing this.
Right?
we about to go in that college debt trying to make YouTube videos.
Starving artists at the realest.
Starving artists. Oh man. Well, sir, which topic you want to jump in on, my dude?
Well, let's just do the one that's like fresh on our minds right now.
Oh, is it the 14 one?
Yeah, let's just. When do you get the heavy out the way?
Okay, we're gonna start with the heavy hitters, and then we're gonna. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll read it out for you. That way we get like an official like little title or whatever for it. Let me see. Where is this? You know what? No. Next time I need to have these like typed up.
Yeah,
we're getting there though. We're working on it, man. We're
everything like.
All right. So here we go. The Final Fantasy 14 changes. Now, do you want to? What do you think? Should we go class by class with this, or just kind of do like in just DPS, tanks, healers?
Like broad.
Just do a broad kind of deal.
And we can like dive into each one. So like. We all know Shadowbringers is right around the corner.
Right,
I mean, it's crazy because E3's right around the corner as well. This weekend, going down, and we all know that there's gonna be another live letter with Shadowbringer updates and changes. What they're gonna be doing, like this, everything's gonna be done, on the table, and then at the end of the month, it's gonna be early access, like the 28th, I think.
Yep.
So, yeah, these new changes as far as how jobs are going to interact with each other now, the whole dichotomy and ecosystem, everything, it's all up for grabs now. Everything you knew back, even a patch ago, it's not going to mean anything. So it really is not.
Oh man, yeah.
That rotation that you were trying so hard to learn, rip, throw that in the trash, man.
Unless you're a black mage. If you're a black mage, you might, that rotation might, it's gonna change a little tiny bit, but it's still gonna be pretty solid. Yoshi P can left that alone.
Well, that's his poster child, black mage. That's what he plays. You can't change it.
It's weird because like that's the thing I kind of don't understand. It's like black mage, it didn't get touched, but I feel like it didn't. Black mage has never really gotten like that much love.
No,
it's not hate, but not like love.
Well, would you say it's no love, or just that? Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I don't know. I think it's like, okay, here's the examples I think of, right? I think of like when Heaven's Ward started. It was a great time to be a Dragoon player. Because Dragoons got like mad love.
Heaven's Ward?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think that was also the expansion where... What other class got a lot of love that expansion? I think it was... Warrior, yeah. That came out of nowhere. Nobody saw that coming. Warrior got some disgusting love.
It was making up for lost time from ARR.
Yeah. And then Black Mage, even though it's the poster child, I mean, it's been consistently just always good, like kind of top tier DPS.
Good. The flow's always been the same.
Yeah, just about roughly. But yeah, hasn't been touched really. So maybe Shadowbringers is the one where like it gets a lot of like super secret love, and we all find out like
later.
Yeah, probably in the beginning of the patch when people kind of figure out the meta. They're like, "Yo, Black Mage is actually busted again." It's more busted than busted. Like it hasn't had that level of love yet.
That level of attention.
Yeah.
No, it would be wrong to say it's been coasting. It's just been content.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe someone can bust it right open.
Maybe.
So yeah, healers.
Okay.
I feel like we should start off with them.
Okay.
Because you probably would speak more about like rotations and stuff, and like all the crazy stuff as far as maybe how stuff goes in raids and stuff.
Right.
But me not really being a healer player, but like outside looking in, seeing the relationship as far as like how, all right, what are people doing with their time is probably the biggest thing.
Right.
You know, are they spending most of their time healing people, or are they spending most of their time DPSing, or is it a balance of the two? And unfortunately, Squares feels like, look, top priority for a healer is just to heal. That's your role. That's what you should be doing. And with these changes, they're really pushing that, you know, to its fullest to really, you know, nail that down, cement that mentality.
Right.
And I mean, I still can't get over like the removal of protect. I mean, I know it's kind of like just there at this point, you know, something you just, you know, you put up because you put it up, but I don't know, it just feels off. You know, this big Final Fantasy you know, spell is just like, yeah, it's insignificant now.
Right.
But on the number side of things, you even say that it wasn't even that big of a deal. I mean, from your perspective.
Yeah. So like I'm by no means like a healer main, but I've played with some of the best that heal. You know, I've seen them heal all types of dummies and all types of great players, and still pump out, you know, lots of heals. Everybody stays alive, everybody stays comfortable, and they still do lots of damage. And as far as like protect goes, if I remember correctly, I think technically speaking, you didn't really need protect since like Heaven's Ward. But no, it wasn't really like it wasn't a well-known thing. People just kind of just auto did it, you know what I mean? Like people just kind of just cast protect, but don't really like calculate. I think there was something I was looking at back then that was saying like, yeah, protect is not even really needed. And then in Stormblood, you know, protect, it's even more so now, and then now they're just kind of like, just take it out of the game. Granted, it's a Final Fantasy staple spell, but I guess they just, I feel like they're trying to take the number of moves off of people's hotbars, to kind of clean things up for players that are, especially newer players that are like not as experienced. I guess I feel like that's what they're doing, but yeah.
So I guess why not pose the question of like, why not make? I think this all comes from is that they automatically calculate protect always being up. So they adjust the fights and the damage to accommodate that, or well, if protect's always going to be up, we got to make sure that they're actually damage is going out and actually making it difficult. So it almost cancels each other out. It's like you have protect because you want the damage to be mitigated, but they're like, okay, we already know that they're going to have it up anyway, so we got to make sure that it's over mitigated, I guess. So like now, I don't know. It's like they're doing double the work to where it's like, okay, yeah, what's the point? Just remove it,
Right.
Just delete it. But then, why not just rework protect then? Like, maybe make it a shorter time span. Like, what if protect was a longer shield? So what if it like lasts like maybe 10 minutes instead of like 30? And then it had a slightly stronger a defensive mitigation for people. I think that a little bit more interesting, since it's not going to be up as long, but you would be more aware when it did go away, because you actually feel the damage, hitting you. It's like, oh, that person died because they didn't have protect on.
Well, like, I think it's like the fact that like so there's a couple problems, especially when it comes to the raids. The raids especially, everything else is kind of like you don't lose by very, very, very small thresholds like you can in raids, if that makes sense. So the margin for error is a lot smaller in raids than it is for like EX Prime. I mean, when I say raids, I mean like Savage raids versus like EX Primals and stuff like that. So in a Savage, the problem is that when it comes to the Savage raids, they don't play them. Square does not play their game. They don't. And because if they did, then all these little things are taking away that they would call exploits would have been gone years ago. But so for example, like the whole limit break bar thing that they're changing, we've known for years that certain comps boost the limit break faster than others. Yeah, we've known that for years, but they change it now and they're calling it, oh yeah, we've noticed an exploit where people are getting limit breaks faster because of certain compositions. And it's like, well, how did you not know that for all this time when their game's been out for almost going on 6 years? Yes, it's been forever now. So with the whole protect thing, I think they're taking the lazy approach and they're saying, you know what? We could rework it and could change it, but that would mean that we would have to actually play the game that we made to see how it works. So they say, well, let's just remove it because players don't actually even need it anyways. I think the only, legitimately the only time I could see protect being useful today is if somebody dies and they have weakness. That's the only time I could see protect being useful. Other than that, if you've been alive the whole fight, you're fine. You really don't need protect. So,
and even weakness is not as detrimental as it once was.
Yeah, definitely.
Like before, you lost not only 10% on your skills and damage and your defense, but you also got 10% down on your health.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you might get raised up and go full HP and then get smacked back down again.
Yeah. You don't have that anymore. Now you get your maximum health again.
Oh yeah.
And all this blood stuff. People are lucky now. They don't even have to.
They don't even know, bro. Like if you died back in the day, man, it's just like, well, time to wipe. Fight's over. Go ahead and reset it. Wrap it up, boys.
Not die again. If you got double weakness,
oh no.
you were useless. You might as well just stayed on the floor.
Yeah, you just stay on the floor. Oh, hey guys, sorry I lagged out.
But it's just, I guess, the whole concept of just pure healer is another big thing. I know that you're not a fan of.
Ooh, no.
Per se. My thing is that I don't care what the healers are doing as long as they have something to do, and as long as they're not being hypocritical about it.
Right.
So my big thing is that people that are healers, they want to heal. Like, okay, fine, heal. But then those same people get mad when you take damage for stuff.
Yeah.
You know? So then it's like, okay, well, it's a situation where you can be doing your job to heal me, so I don't see the problem. It's like, if you don't want to heal me, do you want to DPS instead?
Right.
It's like, well, no, it's not my job to DPS. That's the DPS's job. So it's like a catch-22. So what do you want? You just want to twiddle your thumbs? That's something that I don't understand when people like that. That's the thing that I'm trying to like still understand the mind of a healer. Is like, so what do they actually want to do with their time? Well, and if they go ahead.
I guess I have an example for it I thought of. So it's like, okay, so the problem is it's not the fact of the way healers work now. So actually, no, I'll just give the example. So let's say you want to be a police officer, right? You want to carry a gun and have the badge and have the authority, but you don't want to actually go out and fight crime, basically. Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, well, I want the respect and the authority, and the free donuts, but I don't want to have to actually go arrest somebody. That's too much work, right? So the healers, not a lot of the healer community, because it seems actually pretty divided on this, which I'm actually happy about. There are people that play healer that are like, well, I just want to heal, and I want this title of having everybody's lives in my hands, but I don't want to have to do anything with the boss, even though we're all fighting the boss together. They just don't want to interact with the boss, and because what it does is that I think people are playing this role and they're not willing to take on the full responsibility, which is you need to heal everybody, not necessarily keep them all at 100% all the time, because that's one mistake people make a lot. But also, if you're fighting the boss and you're going to do the fight with people, you have to fight the boss. So at least, because back in the day, like during ARR, it was like, okay, if you do stone over and over and over, it's going to kind of blow through your mana. If you use holy over and over, it's going to blow through your mana. At least throw up some dots, Oh, yeah. Throw some dots throw up an arrow 2, whatever, whenever you got some downtime. Then go back to healing, but people aren't even willing to do that. They're going like full lazy mode. I just want to hit one button the whole fight. Cure 2, Cure 2, Cure 2, Cure 2, Medica 2, and then just stand there.
Well, it also comes down, I feel like Square Enix is like doing a little bit of a babysitter thing and say absolutely. Well, people don't want to get pressured into having to do damage.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so we got to tool the fights to where it's not asked of the healer to do damage, but that's something that's not communicated with the player base. So these fights are coming out and you may not hit a certain phase. People are still gonna expect the healer to do it, and that's I think that's what Square is trying to remove. Yeah, that interaction to where it's like, okay, we don't want anyone to have to worry about the healer not DPSing is why we didn't clear a fight. And I don't know. I feel like that should come down to like just the whole relationship of the group itself.
Right.
Like it could be up to them how they want to handle a certain fight, whether someone wants to DPS or not. Right. I mean, because as we all know, every fight is clearable with any job, really. It all comes down to if you want to do that speed kill. Well, then, yeah, you're going to have to use special comms if you want to get that. But if the healer didn't want to heal, you'll still clear it. But I guess that's on them.
Well, it's kind of like it's the whole thing of you have all these buttons, right? And how you know you're playing the game right and your role correctly is if you are maximizing the usage of all of your resources. So if you have buttons that do damage and you're a healer and you don't really have like a necessary like DPS rotation, you know what I'm saying? Then in your downtime, it would just be a no-brainer. Like if you're trying to play to the best of your ability and put up your best efforts, then you're going to hit those buttons that do damage along with your healing buttons. It's just kind of like,
why not?
Because your DPS are expected to do that, and so are your tanks. So
then they'll throw that argument is like, well, you're a DPS. Of course, you're supposed to do DPS. That's your job.
Well, and then what I would say with that is that, well, a lot of DPS are expected to have support abilities, and they're not. I mean, you have your Dragoon. So imagine if the Dragoon like didn't even use that little crit buff they had. They're like, nah, I'm not gonna pop it. It'd be like, well, crap, man, you're screwing everybody in the raid.
But then I guess you could argue it's like, well, that's supporting a DPS. So it's supporting the act of doing DPS, you know? And so they say that's still part of your job to be popping that skill. That's just being, okay, you're not being efficient at your job, I guess.
Well, then there's things with, so I guess if in the regards to them saying it's a DPS centered move, there are abilities like casters have Apocastasis. Apocastasis, okay. Whenever you throw it on somebody, it mitigates the magic damage they're taking. So you throw that on healers, you throw that on tanks. That's actually like supportive. So mantra, yeah, healing people, stuff like that. So it's just like all your DPS and all your tanks are using these abilities. So it's just, heck, you got tank paladins have cover. They don't actually need to use cover, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, I'm just going to focus on tanking. I'm never going to use cover. It's like, bro, well, if you use cover, you actually could have saved me from dying. So it's just like, everybody else is leaving it on the floor, but apparently these healers just don't want to. They're like, oh no, I just want to press half my buttons and then just sit and just watch a movie on my screen.
Which, it also makes me find it pretty interesting that, so White Mage's changes, they actually got some more DPS skills to their toolkit.
Really?
Yeah. So they reworked the whole lily system.
Okay.
To where basically I think they used to be red lilies. Well, now they're black lilies.
Oh.
And
Black Impact, black lilies. I'm with it.
And so like you're going through your, now don't hate me because I don't know how you earn the lilies to the T, but as you go through your healing, you're doing your white mage stuff, you know, to earn the lilies, it produces a blood lily. And this is a fourth lily, which we got the red lily back again, which lets you expend your, I guess, finisher foul like move.
Okay.
You know, a big giant AoE skill that does a ton of damage, you know, for a healer, you know, onto mobs and stuff. So it's like, okay, so it's incentivizing you to heal, to produce these lilies, to eventually get the payoff of doing big damage, which I feel like is actually kind of interesting.
Well, so okay, I do like the way that's implemented, but my only gripe with it is that like they are kind of making it into they're giving them a way out, like an excuse to say, oh well, my damage move only happens when I heal, so I need to only heal and then I'll do damage later. But I think the efficiency in that is kind of lost if they would just, like, let me see. So they still have stone, they still have arrow, yeah, they still have all these abilities that do damage, and so what people will probably do in those, actually, well, not everybody. I think the good players are still gonna do damage, and I think the people that just want to be trash are just probably just gonna stay trash, and they're only gonna use their move whenever they heal enough. But the good players will probably do they'll still do their stones, they'll still do their arrows, and they'll do the big move, and then they'll just tear it up on FF logs and be like, oh, we actually beat the fight because we had to deal with less mechanics instead of the other group where the healer's like, oh, well, I did my big move and healed you guys. Why are you guys all dead? You know what I'm saying?
But I feel like it's a better, I guess, way to. It feels like it's more natural, I guess. And now we're still gonna always have players that just are gonna naturally just take the initiative. Yeah. To just throw out some damage out here and there. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's just let people do them, I guess, at the end of the day. But feeling the need to just, I guess, babysit.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
On about everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, just if they don't want a DPS, fine. Then they'll play with players that are like-minded, but with them, I guess. Yeah. But don't punish people who actually do want to. Right. To go at their full potential, and then let them bring everything they can and leave everything on the table for their team, their static, whatever. Right. Because there are people who genuinely do want to play and play at their best. Mm-hmm. And they can't be forgotten. So I don't know. It's so weird. But like White Mage got all this love, but then the other two is kind of a different story. Scholar and Astro.
Yeah, I am not feeling these. I mean, the Astro thing. I'm conflicted. Cause like I understand that they're like, okay, everybody wants balance, which they do, but they basically just turned all the cards into balance, basically, but just kind of a weaker version of it, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Yeah. And but I feel like they're taking out the funnest part of Astro, which is that it's just that RNG kind of just thinking on the fly. Like it's not pivotal for you to survive, but it's that fun aspect of, man, which card am I gonna get, and how can I be creative and use this in this moment? But now everything's just balanced, so it's like, oh, just throw it up. We just gotta throw up cards as you get them. It doesn't even really matter, I guess.
Well, like the decision to remove to remove all the other skills and just make everything balanced, it comes from like, I feel like you only reach that decision if you're detached or not fully aware of the whole meta of how, and not even so much meta, but just how people play, right? Not being truly engaged with the community. Because I think if you were, because it's very surface level. Oh, everyone likes balance, so let's give them all balance now to play with. It's balance is good, but Astros also had a little game that they played when they used their cards. Like, oh, I got the Spire. Yeah. I know who I can give that to, or Arrow. Oh, let me drop that on the Monk or the Bard. Boost up their skill speed real quick. You know, stuff like that. So like, not every card was useless. They were just a little bit more, I guess, tailored to more different jobs, different characteristics. And actually, it's pretty engaging for the Astro to be knowledgeable about that type of stuff. Like, oh, okay, I know how these classes work. I know who can benefit from this the most. So it's like, it's removing that, that dynamic thinking and processing of like how to allocate and how to distribute different cards and stuff when you don't have balance. Because like, we all know everyone can use it, but that makes it all that makes the whole situation all that much more special. Being able to have that type of interaction. And do you have the skills up? Because right now they have it to where instead of you fishing for balance anymore, because everything's balanced, basically you're getting these skills to get seals, if I remember correctly. And then
think so. Let me look it up real quick. Astro tooltips. I wonder if they got Astrogen. Here we go. Okay, hands-on with Astro. Good old Gamerscape, man. Got them good, clean, hard facts. So, yeah, they're not too bad. Okay, well, as far as all I can see is just kind of the tooltips and how they've changed and everything like that. They don't really go into a lot of detail about like how the whole minigame with the cards works, I guess, if that makes sense. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. Okay, so balance. So balance is 3% for everybody. 3% for... No, 6% for self? By party, if target members immediately give us 3% for them. Arrow, spear. Wait, I thought they were getting rid of these.
What was that?
The other cards. Party member self by 6% of the time. Oh, no. Okay, I see now, I see. Okay, now I understand. So it's weird, like, all the cards are still there.
No, yeah, they just have different effects now. They changed the effect.
But they're all related to just DPS and that's it.
Yeah, because
so it kind of doesn't even matter.
Half the cards are like 6% damage up to physical DPS, and then a secondary effect of 3% to ranged.
Right.
And then the other set is the opposite. 6% up to the ranged DPS, and then 3% up to the melee. So it's like, okay, basically you're just choosing, okay, do I give this card to a range or do I just give this card to a melee? That's but everyone still gets some benefit to it as well anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you won't, you know.
This is so boring. Like it's just like it doesn't take any thought. It like even if you throw up the wrong thing on somebody or whatever, it still doesn't matter.
Yeah, so they're still gonna get something from it.
I don't know, man. I wish they would have left Astro alone, because Astro is... It's arguably... Personally, I felt like Astro was like the best healer in the game ever since it came out. It's always been the best healer in the game in my mind. I can't think of a time where like... Oh, poor Scholar, man. Scholar
got...
Man, Scholar just gets screwed every single expansion, every patch. It's just like, man, Scholar just gets... just doo-dooed on all the time.
And that, we all know that like Scholar, the big thing with Scholar is that it did damage too, along with healing.
Oh yeah.
And they got rid of a lot of their damage skills. A lot of their dots are gone. Let's see, Scholar. And now it doesn't really matter which pet you have out anymore.
Yeah.
Pets don't get damaged anymore either.
Yeah, I thought my opinion on that was a little different. I actually wasn't against that. I think like that is an okay change, because I mean, like, if you have to keep your pet alive and also keep other people alive, I felt like that was a bit much, because the pet AI is like really, really dumb. Like Garuda dies actually I don't know why, but Garuda just has like the highest chance of just dying all the time. And then I think out of the Scholar side, I think it was Eos that's the dumbest. It's like Garuda and Eos just love dying. Selene and Titan and Ifrit are just live for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe everybody's experience is different, but man, whenever I play Summoner and I dabble in Scholar, man, it's just like those two, they just love hitting the floor. Maybe they just like getting rezzed or just resummoned.
So our boy Dante.
Okay.
Be a summoner back in Heaven's Ward, and his relationship with his Garuda, I feel like it was like that daughter that had like those daddy issues that didn't want to listen to nobody.
Yeah, man.
There was this. We were running Crystal Tower, and it was the one boss where you have to sit on the pads because he's gonna dish out an AOE.
Okay.
And the pads kept you protected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were running back to run to the pads, and we're all stacked up on it. Garuda is slowly trailing behind Dante, and I shit you not, she stops right in front of us. The cast bar is almost filled up before they move to get out. Runs back towards the boss. We're like, what's going on? It looked like she stared us right in the eyes. Like, no, I'm gonna die right now. And the boss and just eats the move. Of course, she died instantly, but like, we've always heard stories where like, yeah, Garuda can't be that bad. I mean, come on, man. No,
man,
like,
she's bad, man.
Eyewitness accounts like, yo, no, Garuda has a mind of her own. I think even Dante was like a whole special case. There were some like relationship issues there, man.
Man, I'm pretty sure I've had times where like I've had Garuda on Obey.
Yeah.
And this is back when I was raiding as a summoner. And I had her on Obey, and you know how like as a DPS you want to target the boss before you start your rotation or whatever. So everybody's like, okay, let's get ready to go. I target the boss, all good. The timer goes off. No, actually the timer didn't even start. Garuda auto attacks the boss, and I'm just like, what? Why? Stop! And she's just attacking. She gets bopped. We all get bopped, and it's just like, it's so stupid, man. Like, I don't know. Now Titan will just chill. He just tanks. He's just a rock bro. Ifrit, he's just doing fire stuff, being a ghost Charizard, man. He's chilling. And then Eos has that Garuda syndrome, but Eos is like dumb when it comes to positioning, and if you control her pet actions or whatever, no matter how many times you press it, sometimes she just won't do them. Like she won't be doing anything. Like she'll just be sitting there and it's like, yo, come on, use this move. I need this. Won't use it at all. Celine, she's amazing. Celine's smart. I don't know how, but Celine's a genius. Eos is just dumb.
I mean, I have to I'm not sure if this is on purpose or not, but just knowing that they have some own personalities to themselves is kind of funny. It's kind of interesting, just for fun. Even if it's just a meme on it, it's like, wow, okay, these AIs actually have some personality to them.
They do, man.
Like, it builds up for interesting stories. So it's like it's not all bad. But who knows? They could be fixing all that because they're getting rid of the pet hotbar now.
Yeah.
They're migrating everything to just the main player hotbar. So who knows? In their spaghetti code and how things worked and interacted with each other, maybe the pet hotbar was just cumbersome, and it just wasn't translating everything like they should be. So who knows? Maybe we'll see some better AI improvements with this change, and everything will be way more tactile and more responsive. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
now with them coming down on like pet actions and scholar and summoner abilities, I'm actually okay with it on those classes, just because like those classes just since their like start have just been loaded, like super hardcore loaded with abilities that if people haven't, like if you've never played Scholar or Summoner or even touched them, and then you go and try to play one at max level, man, I think those classes may easily have double or maybe not triple, maybe double the moves that a lot of other classes do. If you include like pet actions and stuff, it gets actually really crazy.
I mean, they have a lot of stuff, and you also have to remember, like, you instantly get a free healer or a free DPS depending on which one you decide to level up.
Yeah.
So like if you're like all right, I'm gonna play this class just for the DPS aspect of it. You can go a whole 70 levels of never touching the healer side of things and just decide, let me see what it's all about.
Yep.
And just be overwhelmed.
Yeah, you'll have no idea. I mean, you'll know how to do damage, but as far as everything else, you'll be like, what the heck? What does this even do? Yeah. Well, all right, man. I'm not gonna have us sit on healer stuff for too long and all this other stuff. I know which one you want to talk about, my man.
What?
Yeah, I know you want to go off on that monk thing. Here, I'll get up from my chair. You just let me know when you're done. Nah, I'm just joking. Yeah, man. Let them hear it, man. Let them hear all the monk changes, because I'm not super familiar with all of them. I just kind of heard a little bit, so take it away, my dude.
Sucks, because like monk seems to be one of those classes that it goes under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, and not a lot of people seem to be. It's not a lot of, I guess, vocal people are in tune with monk, and it's like, those moves seem cool, you know. It seems like whatever, no big deal, and move on. You know, I never really thought about it, but it seems like it's like one of those. It seems like it's one of those like third tier popularity jobs. Like it's
That's
like,
fair.
it does. I forget that like they do exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the kid in the back of the classroom that you is there, but you don't pay no mind to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you got Dragoon, you know, you got White Mage always getting talked about, you know, love or hate it, but then it's, you know, how it's been used.
You can weeb out on Ninja.
Ninja. No, you got Machinists. As horrible Machinists may be,
Oh
people
God, hold on. Machine, I don't know about Machinists, bro.
That's the thing. Even though it's not good, we know Machine is not good. It needs the changes that are coming to it.
Yeah.
But talk about it, and people know about it.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
whole discussion. That's the thing. Monk is never really in discussion. I never really thought about it, but not many people really talk about it. So like, it makes me fearful of us not getting changes.
Mm.
And who knows? Maybe that's the whole reason why we also didn't really get an expansion to us. I mean, we totally got scapegoated, and Samurai basically had an expansion of themselves and not us.
Yeah, that was okay. That's really interesting that you say that, because when Stormblood first came out, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be the monk expansion, cool. And it was like, psych, it's a monk with a sword, boy. You thought you was monk, and you really a samurai.
They took our identity and they took our expansion.
Yeah, man.
Heaven's Ward, what was Monk known for?
I think Heaven's Ward is the expansion where Monk got snuffed out. Like, everybody was like, don't play it.
Don't play it, but not because it was bad.
Right, not because it was
just-
bad, yeah.
It didn't have utility. It was Monk's meme for that expansion was just Monk no utility. It's not useful in meta, you know, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's very selfish. And so Square saw that, okay, the selfish DPS doesn't work out, so we're just gonna take that identity, make it samurai, and apparently I guess it worked out.
So
People
lame,
love it.
man.
But all right, yeah, Monk. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if it's gonna be my main next expansion for
Right,
Shadowbringers. I'll say that right now.
Mhm.
And it's not glaring as far as like what the issues are with it, or what someone may have issues with it. At least me personally, it's all under the hood. And the reason is that they removed some skills that didn't really need to be removed.
Mhm.
It's without having direct contact with it. Looking at it on the surface, you see Eternal Release is gone.
Yeah.
Howling Fist is gone, and then Steel Peak. Two of them were off global cooldown skills for just raw flat damage, weaving into rotation. And then Eternal Release being intrinsical to Monk's toolkit as far as always having some form of crit of a crit buff being able to utilize on yourself. So you can have opportunities to build up Forbidden Chakra on your own. And when you think about like, okay, they're removing skills to get rid of bloat,
right?
You know, and to make it a little bit more, easier to play. So when we get the new skills, you're not overwhelmed. Well, Monk didn't have a ton of skills to begin with to use. And so when you start removing skills, it's like, oh, okay, well, you got to make sure you replace it with something else. And you're removing skills that are not like, it's just not like One Elm Punch that like was never used to begin with.
Right.
That was only used in PvP back in 0.0 and 3.0, and that was reworked when they changed, all of PvP and everything. Went to their, reworked the whole PvP skills and everything. So One Elm Punch, of course, no one used it. Use the skill, remove it. All right, that makes sense. But removing skills that you actually actively have it tied to your main rotation, that's a bit skeptic. That doesn't make any sense. And all right, so okay, you're removing these skills. So what are you going to replace it with? We're going to give you an AoE combo.
Yeah.
Okay. An AoE combo that you're only going to be using in, I guess, dungeons. So now Armor the Destroyer, you can actually use Armor the Destroyer now because they buffed it. It went from like 80 to like 110 now. So I was like,
that's not bad actually.
Not bad. It's actually a useful AoE skill. Before you would just spam it, but now you actually use it in a rotation because the next skill that they gave the link, because you could go Armor the Destroyer into Twin Snakes or True Strike, but they added a new skill that basically, where is it? They just have like new skills added. Trades. No, I don't need any trade.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea because I didn't really even look at Monk. I just kind of been keeping my ears open, so I'm useless on this one, bro.
So yeah, you're gonna go Armor Destroyer.
Okay.
To 4-point star, 4-point Fury. That's the new AoE skill they added to fill out the rotation. And this attack delivers 120 damage potency to all nearby enemies. And then it also extends your Twin Snakes buff. So Twin Snakes buffs your damage
pretty good,
by
actually.
10%. So it's basically Armor Piercer from Ninja. So Armor Piercing, if I could be messing up the name, but basically the skill extends your Huton while you have Huton up. Gives you an extra 30 seconds on your Huton buff. That's basically what this skill is. 4-point Fury basically extends your 10% Twin Snakes buff while you're doing an AoE rotation. So it's like, okay, I don't have to weave in Twin Snakes to keep my buff up. I can just use the rotation and we'll keep on replenishing it for me. Then that leads into Rock Breaker, which Monk's had for, since its inception, Conal AoE on the ads. So you have an AoE rotation. Armor Destroyer, 4-point Fury to Rock Breaker. Okay, one new skill. But one new skill that is tied to something really specific in an AoE rotation that you're only going to use in mobs. You're not going to use that on a boss,
right.
Not a main rotation. Then you have the next new skill would be Enlightenment. And that's basically it's a replacement to Howling Fist. Howling Fist was your line AoE that you weaved in. Off gold cooldown line AoE.
Right. That's where you I think you would jump in the air and then punch your fist down and be like the little flames would kind of go up a little bit. Yeah.
So with this, you're basically, it's your Hadouken. And throw it out, line AoE, do tons of damage to, the enemies. Only thing with it is that it's tied to your chakra gauge. So it's basically a chakra expender after you get 5 chakra stacks, to expend it instead of using what's it called? Forbidden chakra. Forbidden Chakra was single target for whenever you got your chakra stacks. Well, now you have a AoE one but you can't use it whenever you want. You have to use it only when you get the stacks.
Right.
So it's not a direct it's not an equivalent exchange. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, Howling Fist was on a.
I think it was like 30 or 45 seconds.
Yeah, it
wasn't that long to use it.
So like,
well, so with these changes,
well, I haven't even gotten to the big one yet.
Okay, here, do the big one then. Drop it on me, man.
All right, so Six-Sided Star.
Okay,
that's probably the biggest one. It's a combo finisher that you will. Well, that's how you would use it. So it's a 400 potency move.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty juicy potency that extends your maximum duration of Grease Lightning. And so, but on top of that, it also increases your global cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
It basically doubles it. It like increases it to like 5 seconds or 4 seconds like that. So the idea here is that they want you during this time to go to Fist of Wind. With the changes of Fist of Wind, you will get an extra stack of Grease Lightning. And what Grease Lightning does, it buffs your overall stats, it buffs your overall skill speed. So it'd be the equivalent of being in the Fist of Fire stance with getting a 40% buff to your attack, but also getting an increase to your speed. So with 4 stacks of Fist of Wind Grease Lightning and 3 stacks of Fist of Fire Grease Lightning, they are the same damage output, but Fist of Wind has a better speed, global cooldown uptime. So it's advantageous to stay in Fist of Wind. You know? So it's like, all right, they may be the same strength, but I'm going to be getting moves out more often and keeping that speed of identity of a monk, of being quick, more often as well. So I was like, yeah, let's just be in Fist of Wind. So just a quick rundown of what it seems like what they want you to do. They want you to go through your normal rotation, go through go do Boot Shine into Twin Snakes, get your damage buff, go into Snap Punch, then go into Dragon Kick, put up the new buff, Leaden Fist, which increases the potency of Boot Shine, of your next Boot Shine, then go into True Strike, then go into Demolish or whatever. But once you reach 3 stacks, it seems like once you reach 3 stacks of Grease Lightning, that's when they want you to bust out the new skill, Six-Sided Star.
Right, all the chakra stuff.
Yeah, it increases your extends your Grease Lightning gauge, go into Fist of Wind, and then you don't take as big of a penalty of a speed penalty, when you switch over and use that skill. So, because if you stayed in Fist of Fire, you'd be way slower than what you would be if you were Fist of Wind. The only problem is that it's just a static rotation of just going from point A to point B to point C, rinse and repeat. Going to Fist of Fire, then going to Fist of Wind, and then everything starts back over again. What they are trying to do is say that you're going to be using Forbidden Chakra way more often, because there is a new trait that increases your chances of gaining a chakra stack on your own by 70%. Before it was 50%, they increased it to 70%. So I was thinking that you're going to be getting so many more chakra stacks now that you don't need those other skills, because you just be using Forbidden Chakra or Enlightenment way more often to weave in your normal rotation. Basically, they're leaving it up to RNG.
Well, from the way this sounds, okay, this is gonna sound really weird. this sounds like a good thing for Monk, honestly. And I'll explain why. So, well, actually, hang on. Maybe not a good thing for seasoned players. Maybe because it's so different. But the way this rotation sounds, it sounds similar to a bard rotation or how a summoner rotation used to be, where like your opener is really, really long, but when you do it correctly, from the way that this sounds like Monk is probably gonna be stronger than ever. Like, I know that sounds weird, but because usually what I've noticed with DPS classes that have really long openers, you have a super long opener because you're about to drop like a lot of damage, but they need to break it up to where it doesn't just happen all at once. You know what I mean? Because that wouldn't make sense. But from the little bit of Monk I've played, because I've done like some dungeon runs with it and stuff like that. No raids, just kind of done dungeon bosses and kind of simulated how a raid would work in my mind. I think it. Oh gosh, Brian's at the door. I think it takes away that aspect of like, how do I put it? I think I gotta get back my train of thought. That the whole randomness and trying to figure out where you need to go if your rotation gets jacked up. I think it takes all that away, and it makes it like
Takes it away.
Yeah, because there was times where I was thinking in my head, I was like, well, if you lose your stacks or whatever, and then you have to start all the way over from the beginning, it looks like they're taking all that away to where you just kind of just do the rotation all the way through to the end, if that makes sense.
Well, you're gonna still have the same problems as you would before if you lost your placement. I don't think taking away, because those are off. The reasons why the off-goal cooldown skills were so important, because it gave you stuff to do in between your rotation.
Right.
And you weren't just mindlessly pressing buttons just to be pressing buttons, and it gave Monk a sense of speed while you were doing stuff. Weaving in these skills in between, you know, your twin snakes in going into snap punch. You know, you weave in eternal release, you know, to increase your, you know, critical hit rate, and weaving in, you know, howling fist and all these other skills. It gave Monk a sense of speed that no other class has.
Right.
And the way the damage on Monk is that you don't expend loads of damage, is how fast can you dish out the hits. You know, how many hits can you land within a certain amount of time to build up that damage that heavy hitters like Samurai would do over a long extended period of time. You know, working on a fixed window and building up that damage and constantly building up. It's very momentum based. And now they're slowing the class down with moves like Six-Sided Star, and then also we have another slowdown move that we got this last expansion in Stormblood, Riddle of Fire, that slowed you down before as well. So like, it's all these skills that, like, okay, we were able to justify slowing down Monk during the Riddle of Fire phase, because like, okay, it gave us extra time to weave in 2 skills this time, you know, into our rotation, since our global cooldown was so much longer. Well, what are we gonna weave into during this downtime when there's no skills at all to weave in with? And I'm sorry, but it's not gonna be Forbidden Chakra, at least definitely not by itself.
Right.
You know, during solo play, you're never gonna see what the true potential of Monk will actually be. Monk is intrinsically dependent on others. They took a selfish job and made it codependent on everyone else around them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically saying, well, you were selfish before, now you have to be completely dependent on others around you. And you will never be able to unlock everything Monk can do unless you're in a dungeon or in a raid. You'll definitely see the full potential of what Monk can do in a raid. And that's how it is right now too.
Right.
Just because it's so heavily based off of RNG, and you need other people's skills and abilities and stats to really build up what you can do. And it's actually really reflective on what Bard is, you know, just procs.
Yeah, which it's the way that Bard is currently.
Yeah. So it's something not really satisfying as far as solo play, and now not even solo play, even in medium play, you know, dungeon play, you know, that's you had a decent dichotomy before, but now it's even going to be even worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like you have less people to feed into your skills, to feed into your forbidden chakra stacks, to expend your finishers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it all comes down to how the RNG is going to be with forbidden chakra, because they did increase it to 70% now.
Right.
How reliable is that going to actually be? 70%, or is it going to be more like 40% if you have a bad day? RNG affects everyone differently, and there's really no way you can actually pinpoint how well that actually does. And it feels it's removing control from the player, and that's never satisfying for people, or at least not for, you know, the identity of what Monk was. And then now you're basically asking people to completely change their play style to fit something else, you know?
Well, I think that, like, with the RNG aspect of it and the whole 70% thing, so Bard is like that, and it's similar in that aspect, but there's actually things that players can do to actually
their time.
Well, make it so essentially you can make that 70% happen with stats.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's probably going to be one of those things that would have to be experimented with, because what Square does, and people that have been playing the game for a long time, they know, I mean, I'm sure you probably noticed too, that what they will do is that every expansion, they start screwing with like side stats a lot. Mm-hmm. But they do not talk about it in the live letter. They do not talk about it in patch updates. It is just super under the rug. They don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I first started noticing it with when Paladins got the move. I think I've talked to you about this. When Paladins got that healing skill. What is it called? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Clemency,
yeah. So Clemency, for people that don't know, Clemency, when Heaven's Ward first came out, if you popped a strength potion, your Clemencies would actually hit harder. Now, there is nothing in the tooltip at the time, and probably not even still to this day, that would say anything about Clemency will be increased by this much percentage if you increase your strength to whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it might, this whole thing with Monk is probably, if I had to guess, they would probably link it with like crit or direct hit or whatever. I'm not sure which one of those.
It would take crit. I mean, that's how it is right now.
Well, maybe, because you don't know until it comes out. Because the strength thing makes no sense, makes zero sense at all. So you might have to, like, monks might even notice that they're like, oh well, we need more debt because that's actually making us get our procs more often. It sometimes it seems straightforward, and sometimes it can be really freaking weird, but it's going to be something related to damage, but you just don't know what kind of damage, if that makes sense.
Well, that completely goes against their whole reason for these changes. The reason is for accessibility.
Yeah.
And they've even come out and said that that's where a lot of the sentiment behind making these changes came from. And so like having something so cryptic in the job's mechanics, I wouldn't see them being part of their philosophy.
Well, it may not be on and this is just another example of it, but they don't play their game.
Well,
so
no, yeah,
they don't know that back then strength did that, and so like they don't know that okay, players are actually trying to increase their critical hit rate and actually foregoing higher level gear on Bard, because even though the higher level gear gives them more main stat, because of the lack of crit they won't even wear it. So it's just like they don't calculate for those things, but the player base has to figure it out. But it's only the players that are interested in like min-maxing. But I think as far as like players that are just getting introduced to the job, I don't think they would even notice or even care, if that makes sense.
Then you're always going to be playing the job with the handicap.
That's true.
And so like this is a poor way to design a job. I mean,
yeah, the execution is bad. Absolutely, the way they go about it, man, it is really, really bad. Every time it happens, every expansion, every patch, bro.
Because I mean, it's weird that they I don't know. They don't want to focus so much on stats and everything, and not make certain stats be so invaluable compared to others. Well, on the surface, and from what it seems like, it's not gonna change, because like right now, Monk was already in love with crit, and now it seems like it's just gonna continue to be in love with crit.
Right.
You just gotta double down on the crit to increase your crit procs for the Forbidden Chakra, so you can get it so often that you can weave it in so often with your normal rotation.
Right.
And make up for that damage that you're losing for those off-level cooldown skills that they didn't replace. And I don't understand the change of making monks so dependent on party composition when they want to get away from party synergy. You know?
I think what they meant by party, I don't think they meant party synergy as a whole.
Well, they want to get rid of like skills like piercing and slashing and stuff like that. Oh, we got to bring Bard and Dragoon together because they just work so well together.
Yeah.
And with the piercing debuff and everything as far as damage and stuff. But it's like Monk's gonna need to have, from what it looks like, Dancer. Put Dancer in there with Monk. Put Dragoon in there with Monk, and then put Bard in there with Monk. So Monk can get a bunch of crazy weapon skill procs for Forbidden Chakra whenever you use Brotherhood. That crit increase from Dragoon with Battle Litany. Dancer seems like it's going to be a great dance partner for Monk, because the way that Dancer's skills looking like, you get a 30% crit increase as well.
Right.
So I was like, all right, dump all the crit into Monk. That's what it seems like what they want you to do now. And I mean, I think that's the type of stuff that they were trying to avoid in the first place.
Well, I don't think people are gonna do that.
Oh, they totally will.
I don't think so. Because if you build your entire raid group around just your Monk, it's just like...
Well, okay, yeah, they probably won't even bring the Monk to begin with.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they still bring it. I think people will still bring it to raid, because the game is... So the thing about it is that even though they have kind of gutted Monk with this RNG, as far as winning and beating the fights, it really doesn't matter, because the game has gotten leagues and bounds easier than it ever has been. And from these changes in Shadowbringers, I'm pretty sure people aren't gonna just build a whole group around one DPS like they used to do that back in the day. But like, I think these changes are gonna make it to where people can just kind of go in and play whatever. and it's just a matter of just like, do you even want to play monk? Because I was talking with. Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying that people are gonna like see these changes like, oh, we got to bring monk to build around it. No, I'm saying that if you do choose to play monk and bring it into the raid, those questions are gonna come up. It's like, well, okay, if we want to see the full potential out of this class, if you are gonna play with it, these are some things that people are gonna consider if they're even gonna be willing to bring it at all.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like I was discussing it with Ika the other day, and I was telling Ika, I was like, man, from the way these changes work, we can probably have a composition of nothing but casters, like nothing but caster DPS, and it won't even matter like at all. It won't matter about no limit break bar. It won't matter about party composition or buffs or any of that.
Well, you could do that already.
No. No, I don't think so. I do not think so.
Yeah, I really think you could if you really wanted to. It's just what type of performance were you set out to do?
You wouldn't have the damage. Because so prior to I'm not sure if you've noticed, but it seems like all the classes, all the DPS classes mostly, are all getting like these super huge internal buffs that just kind of just come with the class. I'm not so sure about monk, but generally speaking, all the other ones are kind of getting to a point to where they're self-sufficient as far as their damage is coming. And so by them removing things like slashing debuff and piercing and all this other stuff, now it doesn't matter. But before, if you had a wacky composition, like there's a possibility you can't beat that fight. I mean, you could, but it'd be way, way, way more difficult. Like if you went an all caster comp, like, nah, dog. Because there's a lot of times where you're I remember actually there's certain parts where you fight bosses where like you need a melee limit break. Like you need it because the caster limit break isn't strong enough. It's just focused on AoE. So it's things like that. It's things like Dragoon and Battle Litany, and then Dragoon's Tether, and like just all this stuff that, because caster's damage can be kind of weird sometimes, where especially like Black Mage, for example. So if you're doing a fight where you're moving a ton and there's nothing but Black Mages, like, man, there's going to be a lot of downtime on that boss. So you're actually going to end up losing damage, at least how it is currently. But with them doing this whole free love thing with classes, it looks like they're making it to where it doesn't even matter what you bring in. I mean, now the min-maxers will say otherwise.
Well, I guess, yeah, maybe all casters probably was something that, you definitely couldn't do.
Yeah.
But when you bring up the idea of like being able to do it any class, I feel like you could have done that already, because like you don't have to worry about, oh, we have a ninja, oh, we need to have, or you don't need to have a ninja in every single party, just for that, trick attack. Parties without a ninja can still clear stuff. Without a dragoon can still clear stuff. So yeah.
Well, did you want to jump tank stuff, my dude?
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of don't even want. Man, tanking is a joke, man. I don't even want to give it a time of day. Tanking is a joke. It's for scrubs. It's the easiest ever been. Shirk is a joke. If you use Shirk, you're a scrub. Blah,
well, it seems like
blah.
You're not going to worry about that, because you're always going to have enmity.
Oh God! Don't even get me started on that, man.
Oh, okay, hold on. I know it's all about engagement, being able to keep the player engaged and like being able to like, okay, balance how much DPS you put in while keeping aggro. Mm-hmm. It's a whole system that like a lot of tank mains do like, but there are people who don't like that. It's like, well, I don't even use my what's it called? My enmity combo anyway, so just remove it. What this could do is make the system of the tank jobs, and as far as their combos and their toolkits, maybe it makes their combos more interesting because there's more space to work with as far as skills.
Well, it's not it's not just the changes. It's just the way the way they work in game now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the whole thing mechanically, how they work whenever they do bosses. And I've said this to a couple people every now and then, it actually jogs their memory, but ads don't exist in raids anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the past few raids, I think the last time we've seen a decent amount of ads was Alexander. But there's, like, no ads. Mm-hmm. So there is no, oh, I need to pull this ad over here, I need to do this, I need to do that. That stuff doesn't exist. So it's just like, all tanks do is just grab the boss, hold the boss in a spot, bring the boss to this spot, and then sit there the whole fight. That's all they do.
A lot of that now. I mean, there are some fights where there are ads, because like Sigmascape, the first fight on the train,
mm-hmm.
that boss has ads with the ghosts and stuff. But yes, they're not happening at the same time when you have to control the boss as well, you know?
Right.
Yo, what's up, Rockwell? So like, yeah, that whole interaction is different. That whole exchange is different. They usually, if there are going to be ads, the ads are there because the boss left.
Yeah, it's like they don't add to the fight. They're just kind of just throwing in. Like, I mean, when I'm talking about like ads, I'm talking about like T9 like golems.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Like T9 golems. They have ads in T8, stuff like that. The ads in T7, like those are real. No, not just the Renas, even the little
snakes.
The snakes, the little bow and arrow ladies. Like, those are real ads. Ads where, like, and then there's the other snake lady that pops up that you have to kill her really quickly. Otherwise, she petrifies the whole raid group.
Melusine?
No, there's
the main one.
There's another lady. She pops up at like the last like 30% of the fight.
Oh, I totally forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, but those are fights where you actually have real ads. You actually have to manage. Mm-hmm. In this one, it's like these ads are jokes, man. They don't even do anything.
I mean, even though the mechanics were, dude, what was that? That's T7.
Yeah.
T7 was hard.
Yeah, like if a lot of people went back and played those fights and they did them on like on the little level sync or whatever and had to do it like it was done back then, they would have been done with this game.
Then they be doing the nerf version. The nerf version is hard.
Yeah.
Dude, what was it? An insta kill if you got petrified before?
It wasn't an insta kill. Like, you would get petrified, but you'd be petrified for like 45 seconds. And then Melusine, she would randomly throw fireballs on people. So if you were petrified and you got hit, it was an insta kill.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it couldn't be Asuna, no leeches, none of that. It was just like, all right, well, let's just wait and pray she doesn't hit me. And even if she didn't, which she might not hit you at all, you still are, like, all your uptime on your damage is just non-existent. And she had an enrage. So if you didn't have the right DPS, it's just like you were gonna lose.
Because, like, you remember you had to turn away so you wouldn't petrify people.
Yeah.
That arena wasn't big.
No, it was small, teeny. Yeah. So that's my problem with like tanking. It's not necessarily the changes. I feel like is just making it. I get it. They're trying to make it more accessible for people to play tank or whatever. But like, they're dumbing down something that's already been dumbed down, like mechanically. Mm-hmm. And it's just really like, it's pushing me even further and further away from tanking. And I main paladin for like almost 3 years. So it was just like, now it's just like I don't even want nothing to do with them because they're just shells of what they once were, man. It's really sad, actually, when I think about it.
So like basically no matter what they did as far as their toolkits, like as far as like how they play and stuff like that, that never really mattered to you. It's all about how the tank's role was utilized in mechanically in a fight.
Yeah, because I mean, if you go into a fight and you decide, okay, I'm gonna be a tank in this fight, you're supposed to be sweating. Like, if you don't sweat when you first do a fight, then and if they do currently, they have a whole another set of problems. They have a whole other set of problems. But like, I mean, sweat in the instance of like, you have a long list of responsibilities, like a long list. But now it's just, okay, put the boss here, put the boss there. Every now and then, bosses don't really have like, not too many mechanics where it matters so much about positioning anymore.
People can't even handle that though.
Yeah, man. Positioning now is just like, it's so much easier, man.
There are times where like sometimes people won't keep the boss straight, so it's easier to identify how a mechanic will come out.
Yeah.
Like for Omega, everyone knows this fight, how you have starboard and landboard. You have an AoE on the right side and you have an AoE on the left side. And even if that, so for some reason people just can't keep the boss straight, so it's easy to identify, okay, we gotta go east, we gotta go west. If you even have him catacornered, it's like, oh my goodness, what side is it gonna come out? And then he does the move, and then he does a 180, so he shifts, and now you gotta pan your camera around so you can adjust and line up perfectly. So like, okay, now I gotta see, okay, am I facing north or wherever the boss is facing forward? And then now make sure that I'm actually on his left or right so I can dodge the mechanic. I don't know. Some people can't even handle keeping the boss straight sometimes.
Right.
I mean, the game is asking less of people to be more, I guess, attentive and just even positional. You know, maybe positional is something that I only realize because Monk is like the only one with like real positionals.
Dragoon has some, not a lot. I think it's only like 2 for like 2 skills. Other than that, it's kind of, you can kind of do whatever you want for the most part. So, yeah. And then Samurai has a couple, but they're not necessarily like super pivotal.
Well, they're not potency increases, are they?
Well, they're not potency increases for Samurai, but they increase your bar.
The Kenki.
Yeah, so you can actually get to your big move faster. So it, in a way, it messes with potencies, but not like, you know, if you don't do this move here, you're gonna do less damage. It's like, okay, you're gonna get less of a bar, so you have to do this rotation one more time and then do your big move, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So it's just not too drastic on Samurai, but Samurai is just so fucking strong, it doesn't even matter.
It's just so easy.
Yeah, man, it's so easy, it's so powerful.
Get damage if you're good.
Yeah, man. Well, you ready to jump on the next thing, my dude?
Yeah, I think we're running into the ground, yeah.
Yeah, we're
probably pissed off a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, man. I even for a second there, I was getting a little mad, man, just thinking about the tank change. I was like, ugh, I don't even like thinking about it. It's just gross. Alright. So I think we'll do the, I'm gonna go for the nostalgia one, then do E3 last.
Wanna do E3 last?
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Alright.
Yeah, that's cool.
So this one is the power of nostalgia and why it's so strong.
Yeah, so I want to do a little bit more research on it just to see like if any of my theories like had some like basis to it. But it's so weird. It was just so random too. I was on Hulu one night, you know, just going through the different shows and stuff, and like I was like, oh, like holy crap, look at all the Nickelodeon shows that are there. You got Rugrats, you got Rocket Power, you got Hey Arnold,
Right.
you got all this different stuff. Like, man, I was like going down memory lane right now. And man, I ran into some anime.
Okay.
And I'm like, you got One Punch Man. It's like, oh shit, I haven't watched One Punch Man yet because like I'm a scrub. I only can watch stuff dubbed. You know, I don't want to read while watching.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like I have to do homework while I watch the show. It's like I just want to listen. And so, and then I went further deeper and it's like, yo, they got Sailor Moon on Hulu. You know, you got some old school shit right here. It's like, okay. And like, I'm like looking at all the seasons like, wow, they actually have a lot of seasons here. They have season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like, wow. I was like, okay, maybe I'll just binge Sailor Moon real quick right now. I go and they have both the sub and they have the dub. It's like, well, you know what I'm clicking? I'm clicking the dub. Here we go. And my ears started to bleed. I'm like, wait a second. That's not what's her name voice. That's not Serena's voice. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be using American names. During my trip down memory lane, I've learned that people hate to use the English names for Sailor Moon characters. Apparently,
really?
Yeah, they're like a bunch of purists. We can get into that as I go down, as I elaborate. But yeah, so like it's basically it was a different dub that was on Hulu, different from what was back in the day,
right?
And so like, this is so foreign. It sounded foreign. It sounded weird, and I went down this whole like, okay, well, now I'm just like intrigued. Let me see, can I find Sailor Moon anywhere? From what I remembered from the original dub back in the 90s and 2000s and whatnot. And no, it's been like cleaned out. So like Viz Media like bought the rights to Sailor Moon. And so they like went back and redubbed the whole show. And there are some good things that come from it because a lot of the censorship stuff that happened back in the day has like alleviated, is way more pure and authentic to what the Japanese dub was.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, it's a little bit more faithful to the source material, but this is objectively to a lot of people the better rendition and take on the series. But it was so hard for me to get past it solely on sound. Like the audio sensory in my head was just, in my ears was just weird. And I just couldn't get past that. And it made me think like, is the reason why nostalgia is just so powerful just be solely on not just visual, but auditorial stuff, you know, the just your senses of hearing and how you remember things. And as I was thinking more, it's like your memory is weird, is that your memory is usually incorrect a lot of the times.
Yeah.
You know, you try to remember things, you can't perfectly imagine things from recollection all the time. But if you can have an audio cue, a song, a chime, some sort of noise, that can be so powerful in how you remember stuff and recalling memories, to where it fills in the gaps for you. It almost like sound like paints the picture for you, so you can visually imagine what you remember.
That's
like
so okay. With sound, I feel like even that can be misconstrued. Just because, like, let me see. Okay, I'll give you like two examples. So when people hear certain sounds, if you hear it for the first time and you enjoy it, that sound in your memory is attached to an emotion.
Yeah.
And emotions are not the best form of like trying to get an accurate representation of how good something is, you know, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? Yeah. So then
it's an accurate representation of what it did to you.
Right. And so then there's also the whole thing of like, so, okay, back in the 90s, if I were to stand up on stage, right, and I pick up a microphone back in the 90s and I go, what's that? Everybody's going to be busting out laughing because back then it was, you know, it was the joke on Scream or whatever from the Scary Movie series or whatever. But if I do that today, everybody's going to be like, oh, God, do you really think that was funny back then? It's like, oh, that's not funny anymore. So it's like, even because the sound is attached to an emotion, even sound sometimes can be a little inaccurate of like how good or bad something is because it's still it's attached to an emotion.
Well, not so much as far as like how, whether it's good or bad, but just sound is so intrinsically tied to remembering.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
core to nostalgia, whether it's good or bad or not.
Right.
You know, I feel like sound is like the catalyst. You know.
Well, there's a thing, and there's a psychological experiment where like, I've actually done this on people before, where people and dogs. So if I ring a bell or whatever, and then if I give a dog a treat, and I do that I do that every day for like 10 days straight.
Oh, well, yeah.
What's going to happen is that dog now has an attachment to that sound, and then they feel that they know that it's going to be like, they have that memory of being fed, so like, oh, it's feeding time. Mm-hmm. So people are the same way, definitely, I would say, in that regard.
Dog hear keys, they're like, oh, they're about to go somewhere.
Yeah. We do that with our cars when we drive. The little seatbelt noise, that's that same type of thing. So if you don't have your seatbelt on, your car goes ding, 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 ding. And you're like, oh crap, my seatbelt. You know without even looking. Does that, you know what I'm saying?
Like you can just easily process what needs to be done, what needs to be done to fix that problem.
Right.
You know? And I always feel like that you could be creative with how you want to interpret something, like as far as like designs and stuff like that, like a character design or whatever, how you want to interpret it for a modern audience or take on something.
Right.
And you have people who may not like art styles and stuff like that, but the content is still good. But I feel like, I don't know, soundtracks and music, that's something that's just like, it's harder to overcome, you know?
So like the whole thing with Sailor Moon, and then you hearing the voices, and it's like you just couldn't shake it because it still doesn't sound right to you. That's fair. I mean, well, that's how you remember it, so that's how you're gonna want it to be.
Not just Sailor Moon either. Like even games. Like if like I'm trying to think of like who. Is there any like recent ones? Because like you've heard stories where someone will have like a remaster of a game, you know, and the gameplay can be solid and stuff and whatnot, but like they mess up the soundtrack. It's like, something just sounds off. You know?
With games, I think it depends on the person. Because with games and playing like remasters and stuff like that, I don't care about the soundtrack. I never think about it at all. Just because like it's just like in the background for me. I'm more so about like the gameplay, where like, does this move work how I remember it? So it's like I remember Josie was playing the remaster of the Spyro where they did the trilogy or whatever, and there was a part she was trying to like jump across this huge ledge, and then she's like, well, here, you do it. And I was like, okay, if I remember correctly, you can charge and do this little dash or whatever and then jump and you'll be able to jump further. And I'm like, okay, does this work how I remember it working? And it did, but then there was something about the controls that were off, and I think that was the introduction of the
was it sensitivity?
No, this is, so it was the thumbsticks.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
So the Spyro I'm used to didn't have those weren't even invented when I played Spyro. They didn't exist. I was playing.
Oh, you didn't play?
I played Spyro with the D-pad because the thumbstick hadn't even been invented yet. So it was like the controls felt way different to me. I was still able to do it, but that aspect of it was very off-putting for me. So.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I think everybody has their own kind of cue with depending on whatever it is. Now with an anime, I could see sound being a weird thing. Like I can't watch Dragon Ball Z subbed. I really can't. It throws me way off because Goku's voice is Kamehameha. It's really weird. It throws me off. I'm like, I can't do this, bro. Because I'm used to like, I don't know. He just has that kind of, not a super bassy voice, but it's just a voice that I've just heard for years now, so I'm just used to it. So when I hear the Japanese voice actors, I'm just like, I can't do it, bro. Nope, sorry.
Japanese voice go to, I believe it's a girl.
Probably. That's probably what it is too.
Yeah. When I was like trying to think of an example for games. Final Fantasy X, its remaster.
Okay.
And now this isn't like an egregious difference, but like the soundtrack is more I think it's a more orchestral soundtrack. So like, symphonic, so like it sounds different from the original a bit, but just enough to where I hear the difference, and it's like I don't hate it,
right,
and I still like the songs, but I would definitely have a preference to the old PlayStation 2 version of the soundtrack. And can I still play the game? Yeah, of course I can still play the game, but it's something always in the back of my head that's just like something is off,
Well, I think maybe that's when they kind of miss the mark of like I guess that soul aspect of it. And what I mean by that is like okay, I hate pretty much every bit of music that Bruno Mars makes. All of it. Every single bit of it is trash. I don't care who roasts me. I don't care who flames me. I'll say that until I'm old and gray and they put me in the ground. I hate it all. But the reason why... I know, dog. I know, man.
Sorry. Off the cuff is done.
It's done. It's off the cuff is canceled. Off the cuff has been the cuffs have been put on.
The cuffs are coming off. I'm give me a ticket to Texas so I can beat you.
Yeah, man. I hate
what?
It's trash. It's straight up trash. But the reason why it's trash to me is because this genre he's trying to recreate or bring back is the genre like I mainly that's like my full body of music I listen to. So when he tries to bring this funky kind of psychedelic music into it, but it has the modern spin it has on it, it's like it has no soul at all. Like it's missing like all of it. And I'm sure, it's whatever you can dress up and dress the part and everything like that. But as far as the feel that he's trying to portray, it's very synthetic and it isn't authentic at all. There's only a couple artists I could think of that do it correctly, and that's probably Childish Gambino,
You're gonna say him.
Yeah, because he does it right. It's
He
because
does have a soul funk to him.
all of that inspiration, like, and he even says that all the inspiration in his songs comes from that soulful Erykah Badu, a little bit of Earth, Wind and Fire, that kind of music. And it's like, but he does it in a way, it's the same way they did it when they made it. They made it because they were trying to express something. But Bruno Mars, for me, and maybe it's not necessarily him, it might be more along the lines of like his producers and, you know, record companies and all that stuff like that. It may not necessarily be him, but the way they do it is just very just dry. There's no soul to it at all for me.
I guess when I look at him, because he started off as just very pop.
Yeah.
You know, you can hear that he had like Michael Jackson influences in his style,
right?
Especially in the, you know, sound of his voice and like in his, you know, direction.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely tell that he was an an artist that definitely influenced him a lot. But his first album, very, very safe, very pop, you know, people are gonna like it, you know. And then the second one, all right, you kind of had a little, you know, some rock, funk influences into it. But yeah, this most recent one, 24 Karat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was all, you know, a lot of 80s hip hop influence with him in that track. And I guess the way I look at it is, usually you would think that, okay, that style of music is not dead, but it's old, it's ran its course, it had its moment.
Mm-hmm.
And now there's a new trend. Basically, it seems like he's revitalizing a genre of music and bringing it out for a new audience, almost keeping it alive, at least how I look at it. You know,
he's killing this.
it introduces people to a style of music that they've never may have heard before, and then now they can go back to the roots and the source, the material of where the inspiration came from, you know.
Well, like, even in his songs, it's just like, what is he even saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like 24 karat magic in the air. What the hell is that? It's just like
drugs.
Is it though? Because I mean, like, I don't even think that's even about drugs. I think that's just some random BS lyric they made and just had him sing. And it's just like,
they just
even
think
because
it's very manufactured.
Well, because I'm thinking like of like Run DMC and all those guys, and it's like they had some music that sounded a little similar, small bit similar, like Run DMC, LL Cool J, and they had like a message. There was something they were trying to tell you. But Bruno Mars, I feel like he did
differently fueled back then. You know, there's a wholly different climate back then to where they had a story to tell.
Right.
You know.
So like, why can't music? I mean, why can't he just do the same thing? I feel
what
like.
What would he talk about? I mean,
anything, just anything. Because I mean, there's plenty of artists today that talk about stuff in their music, and they're the top artists for that reason.
Because I mean, I feel like, at least, I guess if in the popular culture landscape, a lot of it doesn't have any of that personal.
And those are the people that are forgettable. So like, I'll give you an example of like, so right now, everybody forgot about who Big Sean is. But a couple years ago, everybody was quoting him all the time. He's that dude that has a soundbite that goes like, he goes, "Whoa," like that or whatever. Yeah, even you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's heard that before. They may not necessarily know where it comes from. Or let me see who else. People like Tyga. Tyga had the soundbite of what was that song everybody knew but nobody knew who made it? It was Rack City.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, everybody was Rack City, bitch, Rack City, bitch, Rack City, Rack. You know, everybody was saying that, but nobody knows who made that song. But that's because Tyga is so forgettable. And I feel like Bruno Mars is going to be just another one of those names that gets forgotten eventually. Just like, you know, Cardi B will, Lil Pump will. It's those artists that don't got nothing to say. Everybody will forget them eventually because it's just like, they'll move on to the next person that's just as dumb, like 6ix9ine. Everybody forgot about him.
That's his own problem.
Everybody forgot about Bobby Shmurda.
I don't know. I don't think so with Bruno Mars. He's been around for a long time now.
Right.
Longer than, you know, your average, you know 5-minute of fame pop culture icon, you know, of the time right now, you know.
Right.
He came out in what, like 2008 or so?
Something like that. But who is he better than? Is Bruno Mars better than Usher? Nope.
I would think so.
Oh, whoa, oh my God. What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
Kehda, please. Not like this, man.
Like Usher peaked at Confessions.
What?
Yeah.
Bro, you think Bruno Mars is okay? Let me rephrase the question. Do you think Bruno Mars is more talented than Usher? Like, Bruno Mars isn't even more talented than Chris Brown. Like, I don't even think he's as good as those guys at all. He's not. Because he's not that good of a singer either.
Wait, what?
He's not.
Sing?
He's not. He's really not. Nope.
What?
Nope.
What are you talking about?
Bruno Mars is not a better singer than Usher. He's definitely not a better singer than The Weeknd.
Oh, well, The Weeknd.
Okay.
Throw down.
I mean, it's just like if I line up Bruno Mars with the. Also, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I'm going on a rant, so. Excuse everybody. Listen, man, dude, Usher can sing. He can dance. He can act. Like, this dude has tore it up. He just hasn't done it recently, but he's old now. He's old man.
I guess I'm like thinking of the songs that he's thrown out after Confessions Part 2 and stuff, and it's like,
a ton of songs.
I don't feel like any of them reached what they were there. Like, I feel the same way with like Kanye too. Like, I feel like they both peaked around the same time.
Kanye's weird because like his newer stuff technically does better than his older stuff, but I think
stuff is better.
Yeah, like the fandom is kind of like, they're all like, ugh, we'll just stick with Kanye until he goes back to how it used to be.
Kanye is my favorite rappers, man. Like, oh my goodness, like Graduation, Late Registration.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those were so good.
Yep.
So good. Oh my gosh.
Well, okay, I'll tie this back into. I'll tie it back into. I'll do a little segue back to where we were. Are those songs as good as they were when we first heard them today, compared to how he listened to them today?
I'll still jam out to Touch the Sky.
Yeah, I will too. Touch the Sky go off, man.
You have Cedric the Entertainer in the background in the sound bites in between tracks.
Man. Yeah,
when I'm
man, that stuff is really good.
Like, oh, I see what you doing again. I see what you do. I see what you do with your life. Oh, with your life. Or like, how about the I'm not sure if they were a chain gang or if they were kind of like, they had like the alpha, frat vibe to them. Mm-hmm. We broke, five broke.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't got no clothes, ain't got no money, ain't got no cars, ain't got no hoes.
Hey, Kehda, do you know that a lot of people don't even know who Outkast is today?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of ask people about them every now and then, like random people that are like, around like 18 to like 20, like just turning 20, and they have no idea who Outkast is at all.
Right.
Which is, I'm not like faulting them for that, because if I think about it, like Outkast was more of a late 90s kind of group, and like early 2000s, and like the people that are like 18, 19 right now were like born when Outkast kind of had their peak, and then they're like, okay, you know, we're all taking a break from music now.
Yeah.
So
Outkast, yeah. There's so many. I know people like Hey Y'all.
Yeah.
I don't really care for it.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought they had a lot better songs than that.
Yeah. Sorry, Miss Jackson.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like the way you move.
Yeah.
Oh my. You can turn that on and people will be bumping in the club.
Yep.
Still. That song is still fire. These have a totally different style.
Yeah.
You know?
Ooh. Okay. Hot take. I think I've talked to you about this before, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger and just say it so everybody hears it. All right. So everybody's seen Cowboy Bebop, right? Everybody, and people will swear up and down Cowboy Bebop is some people feel like it's the greatest anime ever made.
I think
not a lot of people. It's up there. It's at the top of a lot of people's lists. And a lot of those people, I've asked them if they've seen it all the way through, and they always say no. and here's the thing about it. Anybody who feels like Cowboy Bebop is like a top tier anime, which I'm not saying it's not, or if it's at the top of your list, watch it all the way through from beginning to end, and I think they'll have a different opinion, because there are some episodes in Cowboy Bebop that are some of the most boring episodes I've ever seen in anime history. And some of those episodes feel like Naruto filler. Yeah, they feel that pain. And the only reason they feel that painful to me is because 2 episodes ago, I was like, oh, this show is fire. It's lit. Oh, man, we're like freaking Japanese James Bond in space, man. This is lit. And then, like, there's the episodes where, like, they have, like, a lazy day and everybody's just, like, sleep inside the ship the whole episode. Mm-hmm. Or, like,
character development.
Yeah, but it's not really necessary. Because the show, it really misses the mark, man. It falls off hard. It picks back up, and it picks back like at the end of Cowboy Bebop, like episodes, probably 6 or 7 episodes before it ends. That all the way through is.
Is that why you don't like it, or like you feel like you don't care for the downtime?
It's the downtime is so hard down in comparison to the highs that the show has, to where it's, when you watch it in order, it's just like it's a rough watch.
Now, I mean, I'll show my anime cred right now.
Okay.
I have none because I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop.
Hey man, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. There's plenty of people that haven't seen Cowboy Bebop.
But I just have a respect for it because I see people in the community who have a respect for it and like it and praise it. And it's like, okay,
yeah.
Until I can cast judgment on it and watch it myself, I can't do that. It's like, okay, I'll trust you, you know, in your opinion, and it's like, okay, you know, I won't hate on it and say that it's not something that it's not, that because I haven't seen it,
right?
You know, and it's a lot of anecdotal, you know, feedback.
Very anecdotal. Even my thing, very anecdotal, because that's just my opinion, right? So it's like, yeah.
But it definitely has a cultural impact.
Oh yeah.
You know? And so like, even if the show itself if you say doesn't hold up, does that diminish what it's done?
No. Like the show is still a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But it is not as much of a masterpiece as a lot of people make it out to be. Like if I compare Cowboy Bebop to like Princess Mononoke, it's not even close. Like Princess Mononoke is way better than Cowboy Bebop. Like,
would you consider that an anime? I mean, it's a movie, but like, are there almost like two different tiers? Because like you wouldn't compare like Breaking Bad to like The Departed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hot take. Another hot take then.
What? Departed sucks?
No.
Breaking Bad sucks.
I'm gonna say this. People are gonna be mad. They're gonna be mad. Code Geass is better than Cowboy Bebop. Mic drop. I said it. Yep. Mic drop. I said it. Code Geass is way better than Cowboy Bebop. Code Geass is a masterpiece. Cowboy Bebop is a masterpiece. But this is just my. I'm just Gloria Borger giving my opinion. I'm not supposed to give my opinion.
I'm gonna take the heat off of you right now. I haven't seen Code Geass.
Oh.
I'm a fake anime fan. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But from what I hear, though, I feel like people wouldn't be that wouldn't think too differently from you, or at least not too much. I think people would be able to respect that.
I think they would respect it in the aspect of like these are both heavy hitters, and hopefully they know that like just because I feel like Code Geass is better than Cowboy Bebop, I'm not out here just gonna be flaming Cowboy Bebop like it's not lit, because it's a lit show. I think they'll just be like, well, he just has a different opinion. It's kind of like, it's kind of saying like, oh, I like Batman more than Superman. It's like, okay, I see what you mean. I disagree with you, but I see where that thought process, because you're comparing two things that are both great. So,
because like you can throw into like Gurren Lagann.
I haven't seen
amazing.
that.
Huh?
I have not seen that.
I definitely recommend it.
Everybody keeps telling me to watch it. And I'm like, I've never seen. I've heard about it. Like I've heard like the main character like dies in like the 6th episode or some crap like that.
Yeah, I mean he's not even like, I guess you would think he's the main character, but he's not even the main character. He's a very important intrinsic character,
right?
To the growth to the main character. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, it was like, you know, top 10 anime deaths of all time. Yeah. He's on the list. Because like, but okay, I want to propose a question.
Okay, what's up?
Or not so much a question, but like, let's just make a list right now. 90s and 2000 anime that are like of their era, or the top of the top. Ooh. You know, I mean, I feel like we can just name them off our head right now.
So 90s, of course, you got well, some of these kind of
Gellion, Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. Gotta throw Inuyasha in there probably.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yep.
What's the other one? I feel like I'm missing one. Then how about Mobile Suit Gundam.
Okay, yeah, Gundam, I'm not gonna lie, as much flack that I give Gundam, when it first came out, I do remember watching it as a kid and actually like really enjoying it. Yeah. Until it got so political to where I was just kind of, and then I was a kid, so it was probably too hard for me to digest.
Peak Gundam, you know?
Yeah.
So that'd be probably a lot of the 90s stuff.
Yeah, not to exclude any that we forgot, but yeah.
But then you got probably for the 2000s, we'll throw Gurren Lagann, Code Geass,
Death Note.
Death Note.
Yeah.
Death Note's huge.
Yep.
Full Metal.
Full Metal. Yep. You got
You want to put Naruto on there?
Is Naruto as good as those shows?
Naruto had a lot of I feel like
Naruto has a lot of a
lot of set pieces.
I think that Naruto had done some things that we had never seen in animation that is now kind of staples in animation today. With its fights in the beginning of Naruto. Just because I
feel like up to the Sasuke retrieval arc, that's
yeah, well, I was gonna say more so before Shippuden.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Without that.
Before Shippuden, Naruto, as far as its hand-to-hand combat animation and stuff like that, was really, really, really crazily well done. And so I guess to be fair, then throw Naruto in there. I would definitely throw Bleach in there.
Oh, I forgot about Bleach.
Yeah, but it's sad because Bleach kind of dealt with the same thing because I think I was looking it up, the Tite Kubo, the guy who just made it or whatever, he had a lot of difficulties with his management, and it kind of it bogged him down, and it reflects on his work, and so the anime kind of died as a result of it. It's really sad, but
that sucks.
Yeah, Bleach.
There's a non-shonen that we're missing.
Oh, we're trying to get away from shonens?
No, I was trying to think of one, but I feel like there's one on the tip of my tongue that I feel like I'm missing.
We could throw Clannad in there. Clannad is considered the greatest romance anime ever created.
Oh, the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about. I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess my overall point is that we can name so many shows from those eras.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there are as many shows today that we would say go down as those are the top anime from their season or era?
So it's hard to say because it's we're kind of in the era at the moment, and it's do they withstand the test of time, kind of, sort of?
Yeah, something that we won't know until 5-10 years.
Another 10 years from now. Hopefully the podcast is still going. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But I guess right now the leaders of the pack would be your Attack on Titan. Everybody, people seem to still be with it. Your My Hero Academia. People seem to really like that still.
I would want to say One Punch Man, at least season 1.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure about season 2 though.
Ooh, season 2 did. People were I heard very, very mixed feels about season 2.
Yeah. That's why I don't know. The whole show be able to just stand the test of time, even though season 2 is not as well received.
Maybe it's debatable. We gotta see what they come up with.
It's hype.
Yeah, and maybe it stops at season 2. Then it's okay, it just kind of stunted its own growth,
Oh, what's another one? Sword Art Online.
Oh God. I think Sword Art Online is kind of. It's still going, and I know there's people that still enjoy it.
Now, there are going to be a lot of people I say yeah, that the Gun Gale thing, the season 3 booty, season 2 trash, but season 1, that was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah,
I mean,
everybody
it basically
thought it was great.
it birthed the isekai genre.
Pretty much, yeah.
It basically this may be a leap.
Wait, I won't say birthed. I can't say birth, actually. That's not true.
Okay. Dot hack, I guess.
Yeah, because
I feel like
Dot Hack has a fandom. There's fans of Dot Hack that are like super diehard fans, and there's a ton of them. It's just that like the only people that talk about Dot Hack are people that are around other Dot Hack fans, if that makes sense.
And it's not like Dot Hack didn't do what Sword Art Online did. It didn't make what the genre is today, And would you even consider Dot Hack the same genre as would you even consider Dot Hack an isekai?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Sure, if it would be something a little bit deeper.
It's definitely an isekai, but it's an isekai that was how do I put it? Dot Hack was too ahead of its time. Because if Dot Hack were to come out today, oh dude, it would just be people would be amazed. They would love it. But at the time, Dot Hack was like they were too meta before the meta started. Right. Because now in pop culture we have things where people are actually talking about being stuck in a computer simulation, and is our real life a computer simulation? You know what I'm saying? People have questions like that. And Dot Hack actually was exploring those things back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Dot Hack.
I think so. I think it was the manga for that. Let me see. Hang on. Maybe
the manga.
Maybe not the manga. Let me see.
All that stuff is weird.
Release date.
We got Dragon Ball Z super late, and Dragon Ball Z is older than what we know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z is really old. Okay, so the anime that we saw, the first episode date was in 2003.
Okay.
So they were just they were 16 years ahead of their time. So they were.
This is during the time of stuff like The Matrix too. That was also experiment that idea.
Yeah.
And Matrix has a ton of anime influences.
Right. Yeah. I think The Matrix dabbled in these things, but it was carried with high action, and Dot Hack doesn't have a whole lot of that.
Very methodical show.
Very, very methodical. I was telling me and Brian were talking about it the other day, and I was like, yeah, Brian, Dot Hack is a show I think everybody should watch, but I just cannot recommend it. Just because it's people. I feel like if you're not in the right mind state, you're gonna be like, this show is super boring. You're just gonna write it off.
Yeah. So yeah, it's hard because the comparison I was gonna make was Sword Art Online had the same impact as DBZ did. For comparing two generations. Dragon Ball Z is the grandfather of shonens. You wouldn't have Dragon Ball Z without, you wouldn't have Naruto without Dragon Ball Z. You wouldn't have Bleach without Dragon Ball Z. You wouldn't have My Hero without Dragon Ball Z.
Well, I feel like Dragon Ball Z is on a completely different level than Sword Art. Because Sword Art didn't really so Sword Art impacted the anime community, but Dragon Ball Z affected cartoons, period.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah, there's even some. Here's an example. Okay, I'm sure you're gonna remember this, but anybody who's not old enough to remember this, I'm sorry, look it up on YouTube. You'll know what I'm talking about. But there's an episode of The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, right? Where they eat the little chicken balls and they get the Dragon Ball Z powers. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And not only Billy and Mandy, but also Kids Next Door.
Yes.
Number 2.
Yeah.
He had a whole He had a whole Dragon Ball Z episode, daydream sequence. Not only them, but also Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
The whole movie was based off of a Dragon Ball Z type show, influencing kids and it making kids more violent. It had a whole 90s moral discussion of anime in the cartoon itself.
Yep.
In an hour-long TV movie. And the finale was a Dragon Ball Z fight at the end of the at the end of the movie. So yeah, it has so many references. Totally
right. And I was watching like a YouTuber, and they were explaining how pivotal the show was, and they brought something to my attention that I didn't even think of, but when I thought about it, I think they're absolutely right. And what they said was, when Dragon Ball Z first released in America, it was the very first time Americans had seen destruction in cartoons of this caliber, like ever in the history of just American TV watching.
Yeah.
You couldn't see this level of destruction in movies. You couldn't see it anywhere else but Dragon Ball Z. And it was the fact that like Goku would destroy people and they would like be disintegrated. And then like they would blow up planets. It was just like, what?
That sequence that you can just coin is like it's the Dragon Ball Z death sequence where like you have the flash of light hitting on them, their face gets all warped up and everything, and then they disintegrate.
And then like you could punch somebody and they go hurtling into like a mountain cliffside, and then they come out and they're alive. It's just like that had never been seen like anywhere. It was its own just crazy thing to American audiences, at least. I'm not sure about if Japan anything like out like that, but I can't think of anything.
I mean, they outside of anime, or well, I mean, I feel like that'd just be more intrinsic into their culture from the beginning,
right?
I mean, even if we're talking like OG Dragon Ball, it's even like you had Goku impale King Piccolo, through the chest. And that came out in like the 80s,
and it was a kid show. It was just like, what, this level of violence in a kid show? I mean, like, we'd seen Tom and Jerry, but it was like, if Tom smashes Jerry with a hammer, you're not gonna see blood and guts. He'll just like flatten, and then he bounces back to his original shape. It's like, oh, he's fine, he's made of rubber.
Shit. I was as far as a kid, Dragon Dragon Ball's probably like the first one. I'm like trying to think like maybe Astro Boy, but nah. I can't think of many other
that's another show that has like a little bit of a cult following.
It's probably like the modern anime of like the 60s. Like even my mom like watched like Speed Racer.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Like my mom like, I like Speed Racer, like Speed, but like they had no recollection of like that was anime, it was just
nobody knew it was a Japanese cartoon. It was just a cartoon on TV.
That's interesting. That like there's been influences of Japanese cartoons coming over to the West, but the anime boom didn't like happen, back then. And maybe it's just because like media is a totally different beast now. And like we really have to give so much prop to Toonami.
That goes without saying.
There's just the people behind Toonami, Cartoon Network, the stars align, lightning in a bottle. This match is made in heaven, to where all these things have to come together in the right moment for what happened to happen. Because like Sailor Moon,
I would have never seen it if it was for Toonami, to be honest with you. I'd never seen it.
It was on a different network even before that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on like I was watching this one YouTuber or this one video talking about it, that it was on like, you know, like a Time Warner network, you know, like one of the main channels, you know, like ABC, NBC, one of those. Right. You know, and it didn't really go anywhere, you know? And it was about to be canceled, but then Cartoon Network picked it up and put it on their channel, and it was one of the headliners for, you know, the Toonami block. Yep. And boom, instant success for all parties involved. DBZ, you know, Sailor Moon, you got Tenchi Muyo, you know, all these other shows, you know. It's just like, yeah. it's crazy, you know, that like it wouldn't have happened until this moment if with the right people, you know, making sure those things could happen.
Yeah.
And now things are just moving so fast to where it's like, how do you even keep track? You know?
That's one thing I've noticed. It's like every week there's some new anime that everybody's talking about to keep up with. And in some, actually, no, I'm sorry. That's incorrect. It's literally like every day. Never mind. I'm dumb. It's every week that I hear a new anime from Brian. But in the world of anime, there's a new anime like every day everybody's talking about.
Yeah. And the whole, like, before, it was like an event. That's probably why we have classics. You know, that's because we didn't have as many shows competing for the limelight.
That's true. Yeah, and they weren't so accessible.
Yeah. And when you did get a hold of it, you were tuning in and it was an event.
Oh, yeah.
Now, no one can have that time to themselves. It's even harder to break out.
Yeah.
You know, because seasonal anime wasn't a thing before. You know, we didn't have like anime season, summer anime of 2004, you know? I mean, I guess there were shows, but like we weren't waiting season by season now.
Right.
You know? We're like 10 shows that were going on, if even 10. You know, 10 may be a little bit too generous. Maybe like
I think they were always there. It was just what shows you knew about. Cause like,
but we all knew about the same show.
Well, no, there's some shows that I remember watching that when I bring them up in conversation, nobody knows what I'm talking about. Like Saint Seiya.
Okay.
Now, if I were to show a picture of Saint Seiya, people would be like, "Yo, I remember." Like, Google Saint Seiya really quick. Take your time. I'll provide like background music. Do 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 do. No, I'm joking.
Saint, how do you spell it?
Seya.
Oh, E. Oh, there it is. Oh. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a show everybody, when they see it, they recognize it, but when you bring it up in conversation, everybody's like, I don't really know, because and me too, it wasn't a show I watched like a ton of, but I remember seeing it and being like, yo, this show is kind of cool. And then like, I think the main character had like all the characters were based off of the constellations.
Oh, okay, that was their gimmick.
Yeah, so he was like, the main guy was like the Pegasus, and then he had like Leo and Scorpio and like all these other ones, and they were like had this big tournament and they would fight, and then there's like some Princess Andromeda or some shit like that or whatever. But it was just a really cool show, and I was like, man, this show's dope. But I think it was just the fact that like some shows definitely shined more than others, and I feel like those are the ones that got talked about. But I think there are some shows that like people did see that were just like, how do I put it, like they just didn't have that connection with their friend whenever they brought it up, so they just didn't talk about it. Like I didn't talk about Saint Seiya with my friends. They all want to talk about Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I mean the internet has definitely helped a lot with that. You know,
it's brought us all together, but it's also divided us quite a bit.
Yeah, there's just so much, and now there's just so many different tastes, like Detective Conan, Case Closed in America, how it would be known. Like that was a show that, like, it's a super old show, at least the episodes that were dubbed, but that even my sisters watched that show.
Right.
It's like, oh wow, this Sherlock Holmes type anime, you know, just solving cases and stuff, you know.
That show, never watched it.
And it has that, you know, villain of the week type of setup. You know, new case every day, every week, you know, here's your villain, and then rinse repeat, new day, you know. And it's a long running anime too, if you really want to get into like the Japanese version of it all.
Right.
There's like, you know, there's definitely easy over like 1,000 episodes or whatever, or at least close to it, you know, kind of like One Piece syndrome as far as how many. God. Yeah, the never ending show, you know. But I can't speak on.
Did you know
there's
like some shows that are like 3 times large, like 3 times more episodes than One Piece that are still ongoing?
Oh, you mean like, I forget the name of it, but it's like a super old show about a lady.
I have no idea what they're about. I just I was just bored one day, and I think me and Josie looked up like the longest running shows in anime history that are still ongoing, and they're like they have like way more episodes than like One Piece and Bleach and like Pokemon and like stuff like that. They're way ahead of those shows.
Come on, where? I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. I'm gonna butcher this, but Seisan-san with 2,444 episodes.
Yeah, that sounds like probably one of the ones I was looking at.
And it released in 1969.
Yep.
An old ass show.
That show is older than probably my parents. Probably. Is that true? Let me see.
Or at least close.
Let me see. I'm 24. I was born in 94. My dad's like, I don't think my dad's. He's not even 50.
So yes, this show's older than them.
Yeah. But then again, my parents are a little bit younger. They had me when they were like in their early 20s. So.
Yeah, like my mom and dad are a bit older. So like, this show they're slightly older than this show. Like my dad was 1966.
Okay, so he was like a year old when this show came out. Was it 67 or 69?
66.
Okay, so
3 years old.
3 years old, yeah.
And my mom was 1962. So yeah.
She was like still, what, 7 when it came out? Something like that. But yeah, that's an old show. Old but gold. Well, maybe, I don't know. I don't even know if it's good.
Well, it's a show that people wouldn't even call anime though. You know?
Well,
Americans do not call anime.
I mean, is it Japanese?
Yeah, it is.
And then is it? I mean,
all the check marks, right?
I guess it would
Japan,
look too different than what
Origin.
People expect anime to look like today. I guess.
It just muddles the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, we all know that this should be anime as well.
Yeah.
would not call it anime
Right.
because it was what I watch, you know. But that's a very Americanized viewpoint,
Yeah.
you know, a very Western viewpoint. You know, people over in Japan probably wouldn't think anything of it.
No.
But I assuming as well, but I really don't think they would. Because they look at all shows as just
shows.
Just cartoons. Their word for cartoon is anime.
Yep.
And that's why I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. Avatar: The Last Airbender is an anime. I don't care.
So SpongeBob and Danny Phantom and
Phantom is fire.
yeah, those are good shows. Well, all right, man. We're gonna go ahead and get off this old stuff. Let's hop on that new stuff. That hot, new, fresh stuff. Hasn't even come out of the oven yet. Stuff.
Well, half of it's even true.
Man, we talk. Well, it don't matter. We just talking about that E3. E3 predictions coming at you, and I don't mean just E3. We talking console predictions. You know, what games are gonna be good, what's gonna be lit, what's gonna be shit. Man, we're gonna go over all of that.
Well, we can go by days. So I got a schedule right here.
Okay.
Saturday we can just skip. Saturday E3 doesn't start till Sunday.
Okay. Cool.
I only say that because EA is on Saturday.
Well, you know, okay. All right. Hold up. EA is trash. Absolutely. I am curious to see what they do with Anthem. And if they talk about it at E3.
I don't know. It feels like they're disowning it.
Well,
at least BioWare is.
Yeah, they definitely are. I don't think it's wise for them to do that, though. Because Anthem is good. It's just not... It's undercooked. But...
Is it good or does it have potential?
It actually is good. It's just underdone, man. Like if they added like just a couple more things and kind of fix some stuff, man, Anthem would be the Destiny that we've all been looking for. Because Destiny ain't the Destiny that they promised or the one we're looking for. Anthem is the closest thing to that. And it's coming from somebody who played it. And I usually hate stuff. I'm usually the one to hate on stuff. So it's like, I only say it because, man, there's something there. But it's totally up to them if they tap into it or not. If they don't, then it's just like, could have been. Which I doubt they do. I'm hoping they surprise me and surprise everybody else and actually do a little something with it because it definitely has potential.
Another game that we'll probably see that isn't like sports related, you know, FIFA, Madden. I think Jedi: The Last Order, Star Wars Jedi: The Last Order.
Okay.
Is by in well, at least you know they're publishing it.
Right.
Very. And this comes in a environment where EA says that single player games can't exist. So. Heavy story-driven games? What? No, they can't make money.
Right.
Now, I mean, as long as it doesn't pull like a Shadow of Mordor and put boxes into a single-player game to stump progression, and they may have something there. People are clamoring for a good Star Wars game.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, so okay. Interesting thing. In them thinking that they can't make money off of a single-player game, they're actually right.
Well, they can't make the money that they want to make.
Exactly, and that's exactly, that's it. Because they can't, what they're trying to do with games right now is they're trying to put out a game and then keep collecting money on that game over time. So, like, basically, you put out a game and the game actually generates you passive income that you don't have to do anything with.
Do that.
Well, they want them all to do that because technically speaking, from a business standpoint, that is the most efficient thing to do. Now, from the way they go about doing it is really, really lazy, and their customers aren't happy with it.
it's scummy and just unethical. And
Yeah, they give it a bad rap and go about it the wrong way, man.
keep your business out of my art. Simple as that.
Oh,
But
man.
I can't think of much from EA other than those two things, though.
Right.
So I really think that it's going to be a quiet thing. Who knows? Maybe we'll see a Need for Speed game. And
Ooh, well, I'm mostly looking for like a more of a Burnout kind of game.
there's
Remember
been
that series?
actually been some Burnout games. Like they haven't been, huge AAA titles, but they've been more modest things.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm looking for like a Burnout Revenge because I love the crap out of the game. The game was so much fun.
it's like a spiritual successor.
Yeah. They made a couple. It was like Burnout Paradise and like all that stuff.
Spear.
But I feel like I would be happy if they released it, but I don't know if I would be playing it because couch co-op is kind of dead.
Well, we have online. Yeah.
That's not the same, man.
I don't know. I mean, we're never gonna have like this side by side.
Yeah, man. It just got online. It's like, I mean, it's cool, it's whatever, but in comparison, online just doesn't even compare.
Like it's been. When did I think the last Need for Speed game was Payback,
Okay.
and that came out what, maybe 2016. So it's been like 3 years.
Mhm.
It's our last Need for Speed game. So who knows? Maybe they're working on something under the hood.
Maybe we'll get a cool racing game. We'll see.
I mean, the days of Underground. Oh, that's all I want.
Yeah.
Underground. I want that to come back.
Well, who's on Sunday then?
we got Microsoft's on Sunday, so that's where the most of the meaty stuff's probably gonna come out. We're gonna see Gears 5.
Right. Halo.
We're gonna see cloud storage.
Yeah.
We're gonna see whatever this streaming, whatever they're cooking up. You think we're actually gonna get a console announcement?
An announcement. Man, that is hard to. Like, I think we're gonna get an announcement, but I don't know if they're going to like
give it a name and everything, drop the name and all that stuff.
They'll probably drop a name, maybe, if they do. I think the thing people are gonna care about mostly is what that price looking like.
Basically, you're saying a full-blown reveal, though. So you think they're gonna do all that? Oh, you think we're gonna get a price?
I mean, if they don't give a price, then I don't think anybody's really gonna care, because we already know it's like we know what's gonna happen, right?
It's just like we're biding our time. We're waiting just for when they actually want to just drop that bomb.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
like, yes, the new generation is here.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's just gonna be like super quiet this E3. I feel like just not a lot is gonna happen because everybody's trying to keep everything under wraps. It seems.
What do you think they're gonna be waiting for? I mean, if they're not doing it here, then it's definitely gonna happen next year. But then, will the consoles come out next year as well?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You don't think they'll wait a year?
No, they have to come out next year. They don't have a choice.
I guess I'm thinking, like, have they usually announced it and then, because we usually have had like they've announced the system or whatever, and then the year after that, that's when we get the price tag and release date and all that stuff.
Well, it depends on, like, because I mean, there are advantages and disadvantages to telling everybody early. The advantage is that you're the first to do it, meaning now everybody else has to finagle and scramble because you set the tone. But
I'm not sure if it's like surprising people because in the past, it's like when they did the announcements for Xbox One and PS4, they both did at the same time.
Right.
And we both they like, okay, this is our console, and then Sony came right back. Well, this is our console. So it's like, I really think they're surprising anybody. But what makes this E3 so different is that everyone's doing something a bit different, and Nintendo is definitely not releasing a console because they already did theirs.
Right.
So you have Sony throwing in a wrench into things by not showing up to this E3 at all.
Right.
And they're being more traditional with their console. Microsoft being weird and saying like, well, we may not actually be doing a traditional console. We don't know. We really don't know what they're going to do. They could do a traditional console, but then also release one that doesn't have a disc-based system with it. You know, they could do two options. I don't think they're going to go full streaming, but they could. Anything.
Well, we talked about this before. Like, they won't do it this console generation, but they will definitely do it the next one. Like this one coming up might have some discs. Well, they probably will still have discs, but the one after it will definitely not. Discs will be gone. They'll stop existing because there's no point in even keeping them around. It's just, it's not smart business wise, and it's not even good for players.
Whoa. What do you mean it's not good for players?
It's not. It's really not. Well, because for one, you have to. So you have to go out, go get the disc, and then you have all these 9 million games you had. That if you just scroll through all of them in a little library online, they're so much more accessible.
I don't see the issue.
What do you mean?
I honestly don't. I think that's just two different types of. That just sounds like a PC mentality and a console mentality coming together. You know, two different preferences.
Well, okay. Then answer me this then. Do you miss the old days of where games released like 3 discs? Okay.
Okay. Kind of do.
If you say yes, I'm gonna be really shocked if you say yes to that.
Yeah.
Why?
I miss opening up Final Fantasy VIII and having, I got a game. I got 4 discs on my plate. All right.
Oh my god. Now, what do you do if one of those discs breaks? Then you're screwed. Your whole gaming experience is ruined.
Broken disc, but you can say that about anything. Oh crap! I dropped my phone in the toilet. Now I gotta go get a whole new damn phone. I mean, that's anything tangible.
Well, right, but I mean, like, if the game is on the disc, there's your likelihood of so it's not good for the company that you support by buying the game because they have to put their game on all these discs and it's expensive to do that.
I mean, you say it's expensive, but I mean, I don't know how much of a hit that actually is because they're buying all that product in bulk. You know, it's something that they've already adjusted for anyway in their figures. But okay, if you say so.
I mean, that still doesn't take away from it being expensive. It's still expensive.
Expense, but like how much that expense is, I don't feel like we actually know.
Oh, did you want to pay for that?
What?
Because, I mean, we have to get all these cases. We have to print out box art for every single one of them and create box art for every single one of them. We have to get the disc, burn our box art image or wherever we want onto the disc itself. Then we have to put the data on the disc. Then we have to put all that together, seal it, and ship it out to every single store in the United States. It's like, that's a lot to do. Like, that's expensive. It is a very, very expensive process.
Expensive, but like, it's something that they've been doing for years.
That doesn't mean it's good.
If it was so expensive, then how did companies survive to begin with?
Well, I mean, so that a lot of these companies were started by people investing that already had millions of dollars to blow to do that. But let's say, for instance, if I want to make a video game and I make it on disc, I would be an idiot if I did that. I'd be a complete idiot.
Because it's just you.
Exactly.
I mean, like these are giant multi-billion-dollar companies.
Well, but that's not the full body of the gaming community anymore. There are indie developers that don't have the licensing and all this money to have, you know, all their games available in Amazon warehouses across the world now, because you can't even do the United States anymore. You have to be worldwide with your games. It's expensive, dog.
I mean, it's expensive on like definitely a smaller level for like the indies, yeah, but that's kind of what makes them indies. They're independent. That's their scope.
So they should struggle because of something
they're
that's
just going to stick in the wheelhouse. Like, yeah, they're going to put their stuff online.
It's just smarter to do, and now the companies are noticing that. They're noticing the same thing. It's just smarter. It's just a better way to do business.
I mean, yeah, they can save money, but I'm saying it's not such a savings to where it's like, oh, we just need to just go, just nuke the whole format of everything of how we used to deal with things and produce things, because I feel like it was never a huge hit to begin with.
It's a super huge savings. Because if your game, so like, let's say you spent $50 million on making this game, on just making it. It's just like, and if everybody says your game is trash and you shipped it out to every single store and then they have to ship it back to you because it's like, sorry, we can't stock this anymore.
Well, they're not going to ship it out. They're not going to ship it back to you. It's just going to get discounted or whatever.
Well, whatever happened, whatever they decide to do it, because it's actually up to the retailer, because they can ship it back and be like, we're not selling it. They can do that. But to have all that, and you do all this marketing and you do all this to get your game and get the physical copy and all that kind of stuff, it's even hard to like handle refunds that way. Refunds with digital content is so much easier. Like if you buy a game and it's trash and you buy it on disc, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever store you bought it from.
You're thinking from a Steam perspective. Yeah, Steam is crazy accessible.
PlayStation 4, Xbox Online, like those are all the freaking hell, you can buy games off of Discord now, so it's just like,
I mean, like returning a game on Steam. Oh yeah, that's so easy to do.
Yeah,
you can do this. The ease of accessibility with PlayStation and Microsoft is not the same thing, or even Nintendo. It's not the same thing. If you want to like, I'm not feeling this game, let me return it. No, you're stuck with that game. You played it for a little bit. You're not getting a refund back on that. Mm-hmm. You'll get like a one-time refund, and like, oh, I bought this by accident. Mm-hmm. Can I get a refund on this download? And they'll take it away, and they'll take away the license. Yeah. But as long as you did not put any playtime on the game itself, if you put any amount of playtime, you'll get like one freebie for a return. But after that, you're stuck with it, homie.
Well, they're all moving towards that kind of online business anyways. All of them.
What, you mean towards Steam?
They have to.
Oh, I don't know.
They will.
It's advantageous to just keep it in the ether and make you rebuy games multiple times. I mean, Nintendo already does that.
I mean, that's just because I honestly think that's because Nintendo is just, with that kind of stuff, they've always been behind with that kind of stuff. Always.
It's behind, or is just them maximizing their profit and just knowing the value in their IPs?
No, it's behind, bro. And I get to knowing the value of their IPs, but no, it's just being behind and being stubborn.
Decisions would look at it as being behind. I think this is like, hey, sucks for you. You may.
It's the same. Sony, PlayStation, Nintendo, same thing. It's the older Japanese businessman. It's the same. They're basically the same thing, because they do business very similarly.
PlayStation, because like that was the first thing that came to my head, but I can easily swap that out for Microsoft as well.
Oh, I don't know, dog. I don't know about that one.
And like, if anything happened to your console, you like I've already had my PlayStation go through multiple like aneurysms or whatever.
Right.
All my digital stuff, I'm screwed.
All your digital stuff will be fine if you drop it in the toilet. Like, if you drop your PlayStation in the toilet and you lose it, all your digital games are fine. But if you have Kingdom Hearts 3 sitting in your PlayStation when you drop it in the toilet, your Kingdom Hearts 3 is also jacked up with your PlayStation.
Yeah, a little water won't hurt the disc.
Oh, I don't know about that one, bro. I don't know about that one, but it's just so much better for consumers, man. It's so much better. And I think the pluses, like the reasons to get rid of physical discs, like outweigh the reasons to keep physical discs by like a large margin.
Like the thing with physical discs is that you own that.
No, you don't.
No, do.
No, you don't.
That disc.
Dude. They lock those discs.
They're doing that now with more digital content.
It's the same.
What do you mean? No, it's not.
Yeah, so the data on that disc, unless you hack it, you can't get it. Does that make sense? Like you can't get the data on that disc. That's like,
as long as you have something console to play it, you can play the disc.
Right, but they only allow you to use it on their platform. That's what I'm saying. So it's just as locked down as digital.
There's no force. You're gonna play it on the PlayStation.
Well, what I'm saying is that it's still like you don't actually own it. You just own the rights to play it.
But you have even less stake in a digital copy than you do a physical copy.
What do you even need more stake for?
As far as like what you can do with that, you can sell that game if you want to. You can use that game on a different console if you want to. With a digital copy, that's it. It's only tied to that system.
I mean, sell it to who and for how much?
Not much. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want with it.
Not much, just because just because you buy a title and it was worth something at some point and now you're done with it, doesn't mean you're gonna make that money back. It doesn't mean that at all.
I mean, but that's your choice. That's up to you to do. You can't do that at all with a digital copy. That's it. You can't even resell that.
Well, then, so what about the aspect of like if you have a family, you got a wife, kids, all that kind of stuff. You don't got time. You don't necessarily. There's a lot of people that don't necessarily even have time to be sitting at Walmart and dealing with the dude at the front counter and then go buying games. It's just so much more convenient to just download it.
But just convenient. Are we gonna just lose, I guess, our freedom to do whatever we want with our products just for a little convenience? I mean, we're just gonna go straight quality with this and just be controlled. It's like, yeah, just feed us our media, feed us our content.
I mean, people do that already anyways. They buy games that are shitty, so like they're already like that anyways. They might as well make it convenient.
Behavior.
What's up?
Why should we be enabling the behavior?
I don't think just avoiding digital copies and just going disc even like I don't even see why this is not even that big a deal. Like it genuinely it confuses me a little bit.
Maybe because it's like they can't. Maybe newer discs now is just because there's so much data that they're actually withholding from us. Not all of it's on the disc anymore.
They can't even put the whole game on the disc. That's another thing. The disc, they've maximized the efficiency of the disc. So it's just like, Now they really make discs at a loss. Like the disc can't even hold the whole game.
I guess my thing is, it's like, it's all about licensing, in that if someone says like, look, I don't want to give you the rights to have this music in this game anymore, you need to take it off your site, you got to stop selling it.
Mm-hmm.
They are contractually, legally binded to that, and they have to remove the game.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen that recently with I think it was Lego Lord of the Rings. There was like some legal things that they lost the rights to, and they couldn't sell it on Steam anymore, so they removed it from Steam and other platforms and other marketplaces.
Okay.
And now you can play that game, but if you have the disc, you can play it. You can still do what you want with it, because it's yours. That's your copy. But digital stuff, you can't buy it, and you can't do anything else like with it.
I mean, I don't know if anybody was really screaming about Lego Lord of the Rings, bro. I don't know.
Potential of that even happening is what's scary. The potential that
I don't even think that's even a scary thing.
Well, how could you say that's not scary? That they can just lock out a game and then you can have no access to it at all anymore. That they have that much control.
Well, I mean, like, video games aren't even like that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're, because when I think of like having control and all that kind of stuff, I mean, like, if I just choose today to never play a video game again and for the rest of my life, it's like, okay, like life, you know what I'm saying? Like life is kind of gonna go on. Like it's not.
Yeah, if you
really
really want to get down to it, then none of this even matters, and then we can just like, what's even the point of having a conversation? But these are hobbies and things that we are interested in, and doesn't mean that we can't, want things to do well or stay, I guess, authentic, and that may not even be the right word. But I guess I think that's your time, that's your hard-earned money. I feel like you should care a little bit if you're going to invest your time and money into something.
Well, it's not. I'm not saying it. I don't care. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that, like, to say that you lose control over it, I just think that examples of that are just so few and far in between, to where I don't even think it's even like,
because we're in the infancies of it now. We didn't have things like that, couldn't be possible before with a disc-based format.
Well, even with the disc, they can still delete stuff off your game because all games are internet-based regardless. So it doesn't even matter. It's like, just because you buy the physical copy today doesn't even mean. You said what?
Online, like, you mean online data and stuff like that?
Yeah, so like if you buy your disc and the game's broken and they have to patch it, then it's just like your game is still connected to the internet. Like in modern games, you're still connected to the internet regardless.
With some games.
We said what?
Offline with games.
You can play offline with games?
No, like if it's like a Call of Duty or something where like you have to also be DR, whatever the term, always online. Yeah, and why do you think people are always pissed off about that stuff? Not everyone has internet so that they can just readily be available to them.
And that's true, but I mean, I feel like, so once that's fixed, then what? Once everybody has internet, then what happens? Like, is everybody gonna be still like, oh man, I need my games digital, or I need my games physical still? I don't think anybody's gonna be asking for that.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
We're not that far from, because the only reason we're not there is just because America's retarded. Every other country has that already on lock. Like, a lot of countries already, like, they have our internet speed way faster than ours, and they don't even, this isn't even a conversation they even have. They're not even worried about these things.
But like, just because other countries are doing that doesn't change the reality that this is what the other things that people have to deal with here. Not
for long.
Are you so sure?
Yeah, because it's the same thing with, it's the same thing with why people prefer consoles over PCs, and most of them always say, PCs are too expensive. Well, now we're at a point to where consoles ain't gonna be $399, $499 no more. That ain't possible. So now it's just like, it's the same kind of example where it's like, okay, now everybody's got internet. So what now? Is there another reason to just keep discs around? Like,
well, I mean, at that point, if we, which I don't even think that's going to be even like 10 years from now. I mean, I think we're talking like 20 years from now if everyone has internet readily available, where even rural places, yeah, will be fine. I mean, that's so long term. I don't see.
I don't even think that's that long term. I'm not. I don't know if that's that far away. I don't know about
because
that
one. It's our own. We could probably get there much sooner if it wasn't for companies stunting progression as far as how accessible they're making the internet.
Well, everybody has a smartphone, and all their smartphones have internet. So and then people do online gaming on their phones all the time. So like that confuses me. Is that what?
That's towers versus Wi-Fi.
Internet is internet, dog. It's just what's the difference?
I guess it's because it's how the device accesses it.
Because the example that they bring up is, internet is not accessible. If internet isn't accessible, then why is mobile gaming the biggest form of gaming in like the whole world? Even in the United States too.
Everyone has a phone.
So everybody has access to the internet. That's what I'm saying. Like, this whole internet isn't accessible thing, like, I don't think that it's as big of a deal as people are actually making it out to be.
Because the difference is that the access to, because like not everyone has access to the cell towers, you know? That's not the internet you're accessing from a provider. T-Mobile's not letting you connect your PlayStation up to their cell tower. No, they're reserving that internet for the phone.
Right.
There's a difference between cellular towers and I guess the consumer Wi-Fi that people can use.
Right.
Those are two different things.
Well, then they need to like say it the correct way, because when these articles put out, the reason why they need to keep this is because everybody doesn't have access to the internet, then what are they talking about? Because like I see people that are literally homeless on the street, but they got a phone and they're watching a YouTube video. Like I literally see that all the time. Like it'll be a homeless guy sitting on the side of the road looking at his phone, he's watching a YouTube video, and I'm like, this guy barely has like 10 cents to his name and he's on the internet. And I'm in a really, 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 really small town, not even in a city. So it's just like,
no,
they have internet access.
I guess what would the proper term be? I guess a network connection.
Well, then how is it that? So wouldn't mobile have this problem then?
To an extent, yeah. As far as like how strong those signals are, because you have dead zones everywhere too, but in certain places.
But I've never heard of the mobile community having a problem with making money because of limited internet access. And that's all digital, all of it. There is no physical copy of a mobile game.
Well, I think that comes down to as far as just the size of mobile compared to console is just it's such a larger disparity.
But it's still gaming. It still counts. Like it's still like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some mobile games at E3 probably. So like it's like people like to separate them, but they are one and the same. It is still games. It is still video games.
But I mean, true. But do you have any stake in that?
Do I have mobile games on my phone? Is that what you're asking me?
Oh, I mean, like, is that like something that like, I guess you care about to pay attention to or whatever? Like, is that something that like I guess affects you on your day to day?
As far as what do you mean?
It's mobile gaming. I mean, yeah, I know mobile gaming exists. Doesn't mean I mess with it.
Right. I mean,
I have no stake.
Personally, as far as phones are concerned, I don't know. I'm very weird when it comes to that. I feel like phones shouldn't even be used for video games, just because like phones should be used for more business-oriented type stuff, or like, you know, like checking emails, like getting in contact with people. I kind of am against the whole thing of phones as a form of entertainment, but that's my own like personal thing. Granted, you know, the world looks at it differently. Everybody uses phones as like a entertainment thing, which is that's totally fine. But it's just there's phone gaming, and they have no problem with that, and it's all digital. So I'm saying it's like I feel like we already have a proof of concept, and the proof of concept far exceeds these things that we kind of grew up on, that we had known to be dominating the gaming industry, but now they're actually like I hate to say it, but in a way, if it, from the way it looks like on charts, they look like they're dying in comparison to mobile, which is sad to say, but
well, because they're two different demographics.
They're not though.
I mean, there's some overlap, but for the most part, I mean,
they're the same demographic. It's still video games.
Demographic, I feel, is like the gamers who are playing. That's what I mean.
I think they're actually the same, because the way the companies the companies and the people that do statistics on this stuff and the analysts, they decide whether it's, you know, it's its own demographic or not, but they're saying it's in the same demographic because and they're right. They're all the same. Granted, us looking at it from a traditional sense, we would think like, well, no, it's not, but they're both video games.
Well, that's because they're looking at it from, I'm not sure, what would you consider? Outside looking in. Mm-hmm. Just a large landscape, like, these are games, yes, that's right. What they are. So that means they're the same thing. But we know that they're not, on the macro level, they're not like that. We know the distinctions between them, and we know the distinctions between the people playing them. Yeah, people, you know, little Susie drinking her Starbucks playing Candy Crush is different from Zach over playing Destiny on his spare time.
Well, they're not different, bro. They're really not. I mean, they're playing on different platforms to access the content, but as far as like what it is, they're both video games, and they're both considered gamers.
Then why does it matter if Square changes a direction in appealing to quote unquote casuals? Well, then there should be no casuals. Everyone should just be a gamer.
I think that in that aspect is different as far as like the player base. I'm looking at more so from like,
there are two different player bases, two different types of people playing these certain types of games. They're not the same.
Well, they're just because you play Destiny, if you play Destiny, are you just not a casual? And because you play Clash of Clans, are you a casual?
I don't think so.
Well, okay. Now, there's a couple problems with that, because Clash of Clans is like super, super, super competitive. And there are people that play Clash of Clans that would look at some Destiny players and be like, y'all are some fucking casuals.
Well, then where do you make the distinction? Then we need to make a distinction between mobile gaming and just console gaming or PC gaming, whatever you want to call it.
Well, all of them are gaming. They're just gaming. So it's just like E3 is a gaming convention. So
that's any between a casual, quote unquote casual gamer in 14 and distinguishing a player base, because at the end of the day, they're just all gamers. Everyone's just a gamer then.
That's true. I mean, yeah, if you want to look at it like that, that's true. But what I'm saying is that, like, my whole thing with even bringing up mobile is the fact that, like, I don't think people saying, when they say that there's a lack of internet accessibility, I think they're lying and they're full of it, because that's not true.
They're two different types of internet. There's two different types of entities controlling.
Well, no, I understand that. Like, I get it. I know that there's a difference. But the way they're saying it, it pushes forth this whole belief that there's a huge, ginormous population of people in the United States that have zero internet access at all because of where they live. But that is incorrect. They may not be able to access like Spectrum or fucking Xfinity or whatever. Sure, maybe, or maybe they may even have slower speeds, but they need to say it correctly. Don't say they don't have internet access, because that's not true.
It may not be true, but it's the easiest way to, I guess, deliver the information.
And it's wrong. It's false. It's like saying, like,
you're controlling the internet for that. You know, unfortunately, you know, Verizon is totally different from AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right?
As far as how they are distributing, and it's just the whole problem with our internet infrastructure to begin with,
right?
You know, and how it's separated and how it's yeah, it's just a whole freaking hot mess.
Yeah. Well, I know we're not gonna see eye to eye on it, bro. I know. Hey, and you still my boy. I know you like disc, and you know I like digital.
This is the first time. I will say this is the first time that we've probably gotten that deep into it.
Yeah, I know.
But we've talked about this.
Oh man. I mean, all right. I'll tell you what. How about this? I say that. Okay. Check me out with this. All right. So there is a way to keep the physical disc around, but I think the only means of doing that is relying on digital, but not through the companies. And the example I think of is emulators. And so,
emulation is a whole different thing.
Well, I mean, not emulation in the fact of like downloading the emulator. I mean, there's a lot of emulator websites where you can actually go back, download these games, and I've seen people actually put the data onto like cartridges.
Now this goes into gaming preservation.
Yeah. Now
a lot of that is going away.
No.
Oh yeah. Yes.
No way.
Yeah. Have you not seen what Nintendo's been doing?
Okay. How so? How so?
They are literally purging these sites, these emulation sites, targeting them and basically putting up cease and desist orders to remove the content. And this all stems from, game preservation, keeping, even if it's not just to sell, but just the fact that you can keep the data preserved, or even like historical purposes.
Yeah.
But Nintendo is going around sending out orders and destroying these ROM emulation sites to get rid of their Super Nintendo games, their old retro games, their Game Boy games, all of that stuff, just so that no one else has access to their IPs, to their content,
Right.
and they can have complete control on how they distribute it. What they have every right to do so because it is their properties.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying that they are cracked down on enforcing, making sure those type of sites don't sprout up.
Well, so interesting thing about that is the reason I feel like Nintendo won't be able to do it is because I remember looking at this shortly after Breath of the Wild came out. People were playing it on their computers. And like it was fully playable. And now they've even gotten to the point to where they have I haven't checked on it recently, but from what I recall, people had like working Xbox 360 and PS3 emulators.
Mm-hmm.
Which before, back in the day, the reason why it wasn't possible was because most people don't care. Well, at the time they didn't care. But that emulation community is getting really, really massive. And the whole market for like, I'm not sure if you heard of Raspberry Pis? Yeah, the whole market for Raspberry Pis is emulation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think that although Nintendo may try, but I don't think Nintendo can control the internet. Because they're just not bigger than the internet. They're just not. So it's just like
they know about them, and I guess they've been coming out a little bit harder than they ever have before.
Yeah. Well,
like
I think it's just efforts that are just wasted. I mean, they can't stop it.
I mean, it doesn't mean they're not going to try.
I mean, they'll try, but they won't succeed. They won't even come close. It's impossible. There's just too many people on Earth. It's too many people that just like, because then you got the people that like just do it just to kind of revitalize their old games, and then there's the people that are like bored at their job and they're a coder, and they just say, you know what, I don't like the way Nintendo's doing this, so I'm gonna make it to where I can just get all their games and I'm gonna make a site, and they just do it, and then they can't even. Because I'm looking at emuparadise.com and I'm on it right now. I could probably download Ocarina of Time right now. And it wouldn't even be a big deal. Because hell, they have emulators now that are browser based, where you don't even have to download the emulator. You can just play Ocarina of Time right on your internet browser. So it's just like, I don't know. Maybe not Emu Paradise. I think they got this one. I do remember it not working back in the day. Or
I'm pretty sure the one that they came after. That was like one of the big ones.
I think so, yeah. But yeah.
Like it's there, but like I don't think you can really download anything.
Yeah, I think let me see. I'll go to the thingy where let me see Ocarina of Time. Browser. Is this it? Yep, this is it. Yeah. Yeah, if you go to, well, for anybody listening and Mr. Kehda, if you go to retrogames.cz, and you can play Ocarina of Time right now. Right through your browser. So it's just, I think people are going to keep them alive, man. But I think
definitely people are going to try.
I think they need the digital copies to do that, though. I think they need the digital data to do that, though. If that makes sense. Because just because companies decide to get rid of discs, that doesn't necessarily mean that the data isn't accessible and people won't rip it and then take back that freedom, I guess.
No. Sorry, I was like looking to see.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah, this game is unavailable
on the ME Paradise.
Cause I just like click something random. I just like Resident Evil 2.
Mm-hmm.
I like trying to see like what links they had, and like I clicked on the link, the direct download link,
Mm-hmm.
and it came back up empty.
Mm.
So I mean, like you know, the site's there, but like the information in the back end has been like removed.
Yeah.
You know, like the actual sources and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not going to stop people.
No.
You know,
I mean,
people are still going to try, and yeah, I mean, it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah, I think companies they're just gonna do it, but as far as like not being able to play your games on a disc or have that accessibility and that freedom with them, I don't think that is even possible to be taken away, at least yet. Now, if they come up with some super crazy way to do that, then this is kind of ripperino, but I doubt they go that far. I mean, I doubt it.
It's a scary thing to think about, because people bring up, the conversation always goes back to gaming companies aren't even responsible with their information, with their properties.
Mm-hmm.
It's infamous that Square, in the community right now, people are like wondering, like, why won't they just, you know, re-release Final Fantasy VIII?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why won't they remake that game and put it, you know, re-release it? They can't, because they don't have the data for it. They literally do not have the original information, the original source code for Final Fantasy VIII anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone, been deleted. It doesn't exist.
Mm.
The only reason they were able to do the Steam version, because it was like, it was a port of the PC version, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And so actually, the only reason that the game exists on the PlayStation Network is because they're actually running an emulator, like what you said before.
Right.
So they are actually using the technology that the community has been using for years on PCs to run their game, because they don't actually have the actual source files because of their negligence. And the only reason that even 7 is not fully intact either, but they had to take the PC version again, which was an incomplete version of the original copy, and re-engineer it so they could have it again for other console ports. And so the whole conversation around Nintendo, you know, putting out cease and desist orders on emulations and ROMs and stuff is like, how can we even trust you guys to be responsible with the content? You know?
Well, so this whole thing is interesting, because there was something like this in the PC community at one time with pirated games.
Yeah.
And back then, companies started trying to crack down really, really hard on pirated games, and it was the whole reason behind like why a lot of companies wouldn't even put their games on PC. They would just leave it on console. But after about, I think it was like 2 or 3 years, these companies started realizing that when they stopped like taking down all the pirated games and stuff like that, they actually made more money. Because essentially what it allows them to do is that, like, what's up?
To sell the game. It was a way of like having like a makeshift demo.
Exactly. So yeah, people would test it out and then they would actually eventually buy it, because they didn't want to play the cracked version of it anymore. So it was like, I feel like this whole thing will eventually like lead into that, where Nintendo will probably realize like, oh, well, if we stop doing cease and desist orders on, I don't know, Breath of the Wild or whatever, we're like, oh, our Breath of the Wild sales actually shot up out of nowhere, even though this game's like 20 years old. So it's like, I just don't think that they're gonna find that out yet, because the console community, well, the console companies aren't like, they haven't experienced that yet, if that makes sense. And they only experience it through emulators.
I'm not.
Like they have, I don't think that they're there yet, because as far as like a lot of stuff they deal with is stuff that, some of it is stuff I've seen in the PC community and seen it handled already. Some of it. Definitely the whole pirated games thing, because that's really what they're trying to fight. Like they feel like whenever you play their game for free, they feel like it's pirated, you know? Which,
I mean they're not profit off it.
Yeah.
Off it. So I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah. Now, the only part of it that I don't agree with is whenever you were to like, I don't know, let's say you get the data for Final Fantasy VI or whatever, and then you throw it in the disc or the cartridge or whatever it came in, and you say, all right, now I'm gonna sell this online for $10 a pop, and it's just like, okay, that's kind of jacked. I think the cease and desist order should go on that. Like that's kind of jacked.
But I mean, you really don't. I mean, you rarely don't see that at all.
Yeah.
You don't see that because people know that they can get it for free if they really wanted to.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think this is just Nintendo with cease and desist order. I think that's just them just not really understanding that kind of stuff just yet.
But it's not like it's on like for so much newer stuff, because I think like it's a little bit harder to pirate the newer stuff. It's mostly like the older games that they're doing this to,
right?
The retro games, and the only reason that people are doing it because they don't have access to the games through Nintendo's means, you know.
Yeah, there's no means to play it.
Yeah, so they have to resort to these methods, but Nintendo won't supply a demand that people have, so it drives them away to do these other things. But they don't give them an outlet to make up for it. It's like, okay, look, we don't want you doing emulation, but here's a virtual console.
Yeah,
they're not doing that. They had a virtual console on the Wii and the Wii U, but how they look at it, it's like it takes away. It's very close-minded, and it probably has no relation. But they say, okay, we don't want you playing those old games because it's taken away from you playing our new games. So it's more advantageous for us to remove those old games that we don't want you to play and divert your attention to the new stuff. That's where we want you to spend your time and money. Even though they're going to do both anyway. They're going to buy your new stuff and play your old stuff. You know? It's a worry that they don't have to worry about. And also you also have like the Nintendo Classic, you know? That was basically birthed because of, you know, emulation and piracy of their old retro properties.
Right.
You know? And what was the other one? Oh yeah, the Super Nintendo and the original console. And like now we even have like PlayStation getting on in the mix. But people have even reverse engineered the Super Nintendo Classic, and like they're using ROMs anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just that they want to have control of the properties. You know, that's basically what it comes down to.
Well, I mean, from the perspective of like the company, it's kind of like, let's say for instance that you have actually it's probably the same with like YouTube videos. So it's like if you have a YouTube video, right, and then you make it and then YouTube notices, oh, your video is amazing, we're gonna use it and we're not gonna pay you a dime. It's like, oh well, crap, man, that's kind of jacked. Like, I mean, but they're like, well, you technically made the game for us because you put it on our platform. So it's like, sorry, dog. And I guess in that regard, I kind of see where the companies are coming from with doing that. But I think they're looking at it from the short run rather than the long run. Because, like, granted, if let's say, for instance, if YouTube jacked one of my videos and they put it on there, like, some big thing or whatever, and they made millions of dollars off of it, in the short run I'd be pissed, but in the long run I'd probably be pretty happy because like I would indirectly just get super famous because of it. And it's the same thing that with when people pirate these games, it's like these games get even, because I remember I got the pirated version of The Witcher 3. And then as soon as I got enough money, I bought The Witcher 3. So it's just like, I think, there's tons of games I pirated before, but I always ended up buying them because I was like, man, this game is so much fun. I wish I could play it. Because the pirating thing was I had to jump through so many hoops or whatever and all that kind of stuff.
It all comes down to accessibility at the end of the day. Is why what drives people. That's what the whole thing with like the anime community had to deal with.
Yeah.
In all the pirated sites.
Yeah.
The only reason that there was so many pirated sites because there was not an easy way to access the content.
Yeah.
Once sites like Crunchyroll, Funimation, Verve became more abundant, okay, well then you start less pirated sites. You know, not to say that they don't exist, but also the companies also have the means to take them down as well.
Yeah.
But people aren't as retroactive to go out look for them because they have Crunchyroll, pay $6 a month or whatever, or $5 a month.
Yeah.
And call it a day. You know, it's just way more convenient.
Well, part of me sometimes like this is this is a little weird how my take on it, but there are some games that I want to go back and replay, but I don't want to because I want to like keep the memory of how they were, because I know that, like, for example, if I go back and replay the first Crash Bandicoot, I want to be like, man, this game is trash. But if I were to see my younger self playing it when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, I was like, man, this game is amazing. I'm super frustrated with it, but I'm having a blast. And like, part of me wants to keep that memory intact and not have it change and just be completely ignorant to how I would feel about it today, if that makes sense.
No, I know what you mean. You don't want to ruin, what that past experience.
Yeah.
Just because if something doesn't hold up, and if it doesn't, okay, awesome.
Right, and not everybody's like that. I imagine some people are, but like, that's kind of my whole thing with like, I play the game for the gameplay, and then my experience with the gameplay. And I mean, if it has a great story and the story resonates with me, man, that's great too. Awesome. But sometimes I like to keep the memory intact, especially if it was like around like a pivotal time. Like I remember, like I was 4 or 5 years old. I was an only child for forever, so it was just like, these are just the things I did like on the daily to pass. I play Tekken by myself. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, these are things that I have really, really fond memories of, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want to go back and play Tekken 3 and be like, man, this game's shit. I'd be like, man, I was a freaking idiot for playing this for hours by myself.
No, yeah, I don't. Because I'm not the same way, because I go back and play old stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, and it doesn't ruin my old memories or first memories with it. Mm-hmm. It just almost like enhances it. Mm-hmm. I haven't run into a game yet where it's like, wow, these controls suck, like the game's bad, and maybe I'm just way more accepting. Yeah. I don't know, maybe that's what it is. But like, it just makes me remember like the times I did like playing Kingdom Hearts 1. Some people say that, yeah, the controls in Kingdom Hearts 1 are not that tight. It's like, I don't know, I'm still fine with it. I really don't understand. I can I guess detach myself and like say, okay, this is how this game plays, or this is how this game plays. It's just I just look at it in a vacuum. Like, this is this game. Mm-hmm. This is how it controls, and then I'm just adapting to the controls.
Right.
But I'm also adapting to the new stuff as well. It's just I'm playing those way more often now. Mm-hmm. You know, so like, I'm not even sure if like controls are necessarily bad or good. You know, the further back you go, At least maybe some games, yeah, they just don't have the polish, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's just how controllers are tuned and the sensitivities. I think it's just getting used to it again. It's almost like you playing like you playing a fighting game like when you were a kid, and then you come back and try to play it years later.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, I suck. It's like, yeah, you suck because you haven't played in like 10 years.
Right.
You know, when you were a kid, you're remembering when you were at your peak, so to speak. You know, playing it nonstop all the day, you know, for 10 hours a day or whatever. You know, now if you put that time back in again, that rust will come off eventually and you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean the game doesn't hold up. You're just rusty.
Well, maybe that is just a matter of like personality, because like me, probably every moment that I'm thinking, I'm always analyzing something. Every moment that I'm awake, I'm always analyzing something, and then as soon as I wake up, I analyze the dream I had and I think about it, and I'm like, okay, what does that dream mean? Okay, what happened in it? This, that, got it. But that's just how I'm just wired that way. That's just how I work. So I think me hiding it from myself and just like leaving the memory back where it is, it makes me not not necessarily rip up the memory, but just leave it alone. Don't even think about it. Just let it be what it is, and just let it just stay where it's at. That's kind of why I don't really revisit. Like, most times I play a game and I beat it and I'm kind of done. And hell, that's probably even my problem with Final Fantasy XIV. If I beat all the raids, I'm kind of like, I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You haven't beat them all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. These huge breaks I keep taking in the game. Like I didn't beat all the raids in Alexander. I didn't beat all of them in the little Deltascape either. Like I skipped a lot of them. Yo guys, it's your boy Black Impact. So I kind of screwed up whenever I hit the stop record button. So I hit it at the very end when we were like done, but I double tapped it because I thought my computer was like stuck or frozen or whatever. So it actually cut off like the last like 7-8 minutes of the podcast, but I figured I'd cut it here because we were just kind of rambling, and then we kind of just plugged ourselves like normal. But basically all we talked about was so I'm starting a series where I'm going to be interviewing a big figure on Zalera, and that's Mr. K-Shay, so be on the lookout for that. Mr. Kehda was saying he was going to drop some Final Fantasy VII content on his channel, so check that out at Kehda Mercer, Mercer. Yeah, he's got Final Fantasy content, he's got Persona content. I've got my anime stuff, podcast, and then this new 60 minutes thing that I'm making. So yeah, keep it locked for that. If you've got this far, man, I really appreciate it. Sorry about the whole me screwing up the recording thing. It's our second podcast. You know, we're still working out the kinks, so I'll get better. But I appreciate you listening, man, and y'all have a good one. Peace.